You just got out of class.
Yeah, this community health worker class, so I can get this here certificate so that we
Oh,
can
who's doing
provide
it?
some free services. This sister named Tracy Parker, they
Oh,
work
okay.
for the healthcare system, but my goal is to maneuver it outside of that because that's not where I'm trying to be naturally. Hey,
Gotcha.
sir, I'm on a call. Can you turn the music down?
We riding.
I know we riding, but I'm supposed to be on this panel discussion. You're about to be all up in my life. Huh? It's for the certification, right? Because the certification will allow me to provide free services and still be able to live. Yeah, I mean, blessed. Whew. How are you doing?
I am well. I was supposed to be off this week, but I'm not. I had off for Monday for the breech birth. Did you go?
No, I didn't get to go. I had used that fund,
Oh, yeah.
those funds for something else. But I talked
Okay.
to the woman, and she was like, "When you're ready, come on."
Yeah.
So,
They'll be in Brooklyn in December. And then either is it next week or the week after they'll be in Lewisburg, and then it's Lewisburg and Gettysburg.
Gettysburg.
Probably not in that order. So
I wonder which one is closer.
oh, and then my shirt just came in today. This is what I came home to. From this is a Barbara's, yeah, the Sovereignty's, but yep, Sovereignty's your brother. I was like, oh, just in time for the panel.
Mommy, it's too loud.
It's too loud.
Yeah, it's too loud.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We'll see how long I can be on the panel. I have to take all the children home, put them to bed.
Okay, right.
My Hill was coming. Oh, he was already
bedtime.
I mean,
you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. Oh.
Okay.
Oh, hello, Ebony. She's getting her little one settled as well. All right. Hi, baby.
Let me pull up. Did you hear that, Zari?
I see her back there waving. Hi, sweetie pie.
Oh, she says, what's that? I can't even get the camera together. EJ, I'm sorry. I can't figure the camera out. There we go. I think that's my leg. That's on this side. That's EJ. Yeah. Talk about high.
No, lady.
Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
You heard him?
Mm-hmm.
Back there involved. All of his thing. So wait, I've come to the panel. I have it, and please, I accept complete responsibility for my lack of time management. But which specific topic are we talking about this week?
I believe we are talking about Saisha Mercado and the medical kidnapping of her two children, Ra and I believe Osset, but I believe that her daughter is back with her. They took her daughter and they had her for, I'm not sure how long it was, but they returned the baby, but they still have her son.
Right, I follow that story. And the other family where they, Zephaniah, I believe his name is.
Say what? Who?
Zephaniah.
There's that it happened again. I mean, why am I surprised it happened again? But
yeah. Oh, but they try. There's some key things I have been peeping, especially in pediatricians' offices.
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like we need to be aware of.
Yeah. So I was.
Oh, go ahead.
No, no,
I'm
no. Go
sorry.
ahead. You
Oh, I
know,
was saying.
it's interesting. You know, being a social worker and having worked for. Now I'm within the adult population, but with in children's.
Yeah.
I used to work for Salvation Army Foster Care. That was like my first like big job back to work after I had the girls. My girls were like 2 years old. And I worked for Salvation Army Foster Care for a couple of years. And you know, it's like the videos and whatnot. It was hard to watch. I'll admit, I haven't even watched like the full length of them. It was hard. It was very hard to watch. But I also know, you know, boy, this was a tough one. So this, you said there's another little boy, Zachariah?
I saw you, Mommy.
I don't think I'm saying his name correctly. I don't remember if it's Zachariah or Zephaniah, like in the Bible. I do not recall.
When did this when did this happen?
Yes.
Recently?
I'm going to say it's ongoing because at the moment, everyone who doesn't have their children, it's ongoing.
Everyone who doesn't have their children is
There's
what?
a video.
Yeah,
There's a
ongoing.
video.
Hey, how are you?
Doing wonderful.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Shalom, Ebony.
Shalom, shalom. Absolutely.
All right, so
Thank you for that.
no problem. So we're gonna get to those stories a little bit later. Thank you all for bringing it up. Really quick, we're just gonna introduce ourselves to everyone who's listening. I think you all do a better job than I can to introduce yourselves. I'm going to start with Christina. Christina is a student midwife. She's also, I don't know if you still are. You used to be a social worker, right?
Oh no, I still am. That's paying the mortgage.
Okay, so she's still a social worker. And you know, she has a lot of experience in both of those areas. So she has a lot to contribute to the conversation. Will you please introduce yourself, Christina?
Hello, everyone. And I'll add the little bit that I know in my little humble knowledge. My name is Christina Abrams. I'm in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area of the U.S. And I am a social worker. I work for a program that does residential placement for adults with intellectual disability. I have some of you before this moment may have heard me a few minutes ago. I also used to work for a foster care agency that's very well known in this area as well for children. And I also, I do a lot of things, so I'll leave it at that. But thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And just so everybody know, you may hear my baby screaming in the background.
It's all right.
I could not finish bath time, and they are all like on mama's hip today. So
That's a good thing.
I'm crying a little bit until I can, give them some more hugs and kisses, and it's not because they are getting clean.
That's right. Absolutely. They deserve all our moments.
Like the more they get, the more they need. I'm telling you.
That's all right. Because there's going to be a moment when they're not. And then all of ours are grown. So I'm like, I'm stalking them half the time. Oh, can I give a shout out to someone? I want to give a shout out to Barbara Vernius because today my shirt arrived. That says sovereignty. I know it. I came home to this in the mailbox and I said, this is perfect in time for the panel. Sovereignty is your birthright to birthright.
I know that's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You are the authority in your birth experience. You should be the authority in your entire life. And we're going to talk about some of that today.
Yes.
Now, Janae Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum, sister. She's coming on. She has been active in the birth community, serving our community out of, I forget exactly where you're from, Janae. Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Walaikum salam. My name is Janae Muhammad. I serve as a traditional doula and a traditional midwife here in Delaware. Well, as of recently in Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. I am a home birth mom of soon to be 4. And that's about it that I can think of. I mean, there's a list, but it's not coming to my mind right now. Sorry. I'm ready. So there you go.
Uvelka Arrington said sovereignty is your birthright. Yes, absolutely.
Juju, Uvelka.
Thank
¿Cómo
you.
estás, hermana?
That's my little one screaming. As soon as Papa gets some juice, I'm gonna give him some milk. Okay, we still breastfeed over here. We still breastfeed. And speaking of breastfeeding, let's welcome Ebony Jackson to the panel. She is a certified lactation consultant, and she is a mom of 6. We homeschool together, and I'm sure she'll do a wonderful job introducing herself. She's a wonderful person. I'm so grateful to have her on the panel as well.
Okay, yes. Hello, ladies. Hello, everyone watching. As Joanna said, my name is Ebony, and I am the mother of 6 little ones, currently breastfeeding 1, 2. I'm currently literally right now trying to keep them calm. I am recently got my certification as a lactation counselor, so I don't have much professional experience in the birthing world, but I do have a lot of personal experience. I've had babies in a hospital and in midwifery care, so in a midwife center, and done a lot of research and have become an advocate for mothers to have the birthing experience that they want, letting them know that you have that right. You have the right to choose the way you want it to go down. So I'm grateful to be here. And, like Christina says, my humble thoughts will be shared today. And I'm just glad to be here. Thank you.
Shalom Baruch, sister.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom, Akoti.
All right.
Okay. You are Hebrew. Shalom.
Yes. I know who we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As I always tell everyone, every religion that exists on this planet originated with us. Every single one, just like every religion has denominations. If we go back, if we study long enough, we'll realize that everything that now exists as a practice, religious practice, stemmed from us, And originally there was no religion. There was just us and the Most High, right? So we have to keep that in mind at all times with dealing with one another, so that we don't let concepts, philosophies, dogma, or our enemy use our differences to keep us at odds with one another, because we have to stand strong together no matter what. We have to say, I have your back no matter what. That's the only way that we're going to thrive, and the only way we're going to survive this thing. So first thing first, I know everybody wants to know, what is this about? What are you talking about tonight? And I didn't introduce myself. I'm Joanna X, better known as Goddess Not New. For those who don't know who I am, I do so many different things. You can learn more about me at goddessnotnew.com. That way I don't spend time talking about myself. I don't really like to talk about myself. My husband would have a lot to say about that right now, but I don't like to talk about myself a lot. I am here to serve, and I don't want people to be thinking about me. I want you to be thinking about the mission that we're on and what we need to accomplish. And I think individualism is really a hindering block to a lot of us to that, because we can't get over our egos and our own personas. And, you know, we get caught up in people and idolatry a lot, idolizing people. And, you know, I'm human. I'm just human. I'm a person. You know, I do a lot of things, and, you know, people may idolize me, but, you know, I am a person. I make mistakes. I sometimes make bad decisions, you know, and I still walk with God. I do my best to walk with God and be obedient and to serve as best that I can serve. And I'm going to give this baby a little milk right quick. I am a mom of 3, and I have birthed all 3 of these babies myself, unassisted. Well, I have free birthed them. 1 second, because he needs mommy. All right. And this is my youngest. All right. Here you go. There you go. You did good. You did good. All right. So this is my youngest, Nehemiah. And Nehemiah is 1 year old. Nehemiah is 1 year old, and we gave birth to him here in this house. My husband was my birth support. And it was a beautiful experience for us. Of course, postpartum was a little difficult for us because we didn't have any support. Like many of our women, Black women, don't have the support that they need. Unfortunately, I did not have the support that I needed either, but that's okay. We got through it, you know, together, and that's what's important. And we didn't put our children's lives and safety in jeopardy. All right. So first thing we're going to talk about is Christ consciousness. Because in order for us to understand the Antichrist, we have to understand Christ, right? How can you understand the Antichrist if you don't understand Christ? It's all right. It's all right. I know. You had a little rough time. You had a rough time? Okay. How can we understand the Antichrist if we don't understand what Christ is? And I think when it comes to religion, we have to understand the difference between Jesus and Christ, because Jesus was called Jesus Christ, and we have to understand what Christ is, because if we're going to be one with God, you know, we can't walk around and say we're Jesus, but what you can walk around and say that you're walking in Christ and walking in Christ consciousness. Okay, so we have. I know. Don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. He's finding his sleep right now. Don't go to sleep. It's okay. All right. So, and we are baby friendly over here. We are baby friendly. So if you have a problem with our babies, hearing our babies in the background, or seeing women nurse their babies and taking care of their babies, taking care of their duties, you know, then, you know, please dismiss yourself, because that is going to happen here. And
all the babies. All the babies.
Absolutely. Pro on that. I know a lot of times when I was trying to do my music thing, you have people, you know, they don't really like the children around, which I think it's just a matter of the culture that we live in. And that's a part of the Antichrist consciousness, because that's what it is. When we talk about the Antichrist, we're not talking about a person. We're talking about a consciousness, a collective consciousness that is pervading in the world that we live in. And we know that, you know, as people of the Son, as son children, as people of God, that we're not of the world. We're not of the world. We're part of creation. We're of creation. We're of life. We're of Christ. And we're of God. But the world was created by man, by mankind, really. So we have to be wary of the collective consciousness of the world and of mankind. And that's what the Antichrist is. It's a consciousness that you can choose to accept, or you can choose to be in Christ consciousness. It is a choice, and you have to choose. And when we're talking about Christ, Antichrist is anti-life, right? Because what is Christ? Christ is life. You know, Christ is life. Is the creator, is everything good and everything God. So everything opposed to that is going to be the Antichrist. And when there's a collective consciousness of it pervading and trying to persuade you that this is the right way, you know, and it becomes so prevalent that when you walk out of your door, everything is pushing you in that direction. So we're in the time of the Antichrist right now. This anti-life movement. That's what we're dealing with, an anti-life movement. You have them spraying things in the air, you know, polluting the air. That's anti-life. Air is chi. That's life energy. We can't survive without air. We can't survive without oxygen. So anything tainting that, that's anti-God right there. When you have people putting things in your water, you know, putting lead and different things in the water, they know that your water is being treated with different things that's harming your body. That's an anti-life movement. That's the Antichrist right there. The consciousness that someone has to even be able to do that and to accept that, and the collective consciousness that has to exist, that people don't stand up against it on a mass level. That's the Antichrist. When nobody is really convicted about it. If you can do something about it and you're not doing something about it, you're operating in an Antichrist mentality. When you have people creating GMO seeds, creating fake foods, spraying things on the foods, they know that it's making you sick. And there's a better way to do it, and they choose not to go the better route. That's an Antichrist mentality, because you don't care nothing about life. You don't care nothing about humanity.
Better for who?
Exactly.
Better for who? When you say to choose something better, what do you mean by better? Because they better for who? Better for them. Better for better for the money. Better for the betterment of human life. Now that's something different, right?
Right.
You know, the betterment of the world at large and human life, so that life can continue to go on and duplicate as what we are all intended to do.
Absolutely. We need food. We need clean food. We need clean water. We need clean air. We need to be able to utilize the land. You know, there was a time where, you know, you got people saying they own the land now. God gave us the land. God gave us the land. And
it's created for us to be on it, for us to live off of it. That's it.
Right.
I
now,
think one of the things
where indigenous people live, you know, and you're telling them that you own their land. They've been on this land since anybody's ever been on the land, but now you own the land. That's the Antichrist.
And selling it back to their ancestors, to their descendants. That's
the Antichrist.
And so I think what's important is, even in talking about it, especially from, like, I come from a very heavy religious background, like very, very, especially because of who I work for even. And I think one of the things that's super important is people is having the discussion, or at least the understanding, that to separate Christ consciousness, or what is called Christ consciousness, from the man that is called Jesus the Christ. They're two different things. They're two different. They're not one and the same. And that took me a very long time to learn.
He was the example of Christ consciousness.
He was one example. He was one example, but yeah. And that, see, I grew up a Christian. I'm not any longer, but I grew up for a long time. I won't even go into, you know, the background there, but that's something where it has definitely, the line has been blurred, and even people not understanding that they themselves, you know, in walking a certain way and living their life a certain way, that they're walking in that same path. And I think there needs to be, in some way, shape, or form, probably at a different time and place, a conversation about what exactly does that mean.
Right. And if you believe the Bible says to be in this mind. you know, you should be in the same mind that Christ is in. Jesus said that. Be in the same mind that he's in. That's Christ consciousness.
To be so, you know, for me and you know, where I'm at spiritually, that means walking in Torah. That means walking in, which is the path, the flow, the way, how to interact with others around you, how to interact with the world at love. Exactly. It is not so right. So it is not like this, like, oh, you're following these laws and rules. Well, that comes as a part of it. But that's not all that there is to it. It's not all that there's so much more to it. And so in walking the way that this man called Jesus walked, and in that particular mindset and in the choices and decisions, but then even then going back further with what was the example that he was going off of, you know, and each one of us in our faith needs to find exactly what that means in our relationship with the Most High, the Creator.
And I want to add too, to what both of you are saying, is that I think a lot of people have become disconnected with the idea that whatever I do, positive or negative, affects you. It affects you. And people are operating in this individualized mindset. Like, I'm doing me, I'm doing my thing, I'm doing what's for me and my family. But those decisions that you make, good or bad, affects all of us. So if you out here doing some foolery, that affects me, because what somebody's going to see it is planting the seed of destruction, more than likely, if you're doing something off and wicked. But when you're doing something like, you know, Joanna's talking about, operating in that spirit of operating in life, wanting to live, that's a collective mindset. Because then I'm like, okay, I need to, not only am I doing this for me and mine, but I'm doing it for them, my neighbors up, down the street, around the corner, my family in Texas, you know, everybody I know. So like I agree with what both of y'all are saying. There's need to be this collective mindset that we're operating in, which is the betterment of all of us, which leads to life, which leads to, you know, freedom, essentially. Too many people doing their own things. It's destructive. It's very destructive.
It's just to piggyback on that, like, no one operates as in a silo, and no man is an island, you know, and nothing happens by accident. Nothing happens by accident. Nothing happens by chance. There is everything flows into each other, and people flow into each other. It's amazing how, for example, Joanna, you were, you know, talking about, oh yeah, I want you to be on this panel. I'm like, I don't know what I have to add. And I'm like, well, who else gonna be on it? And you mentioned Janae. I'm like, I didn't even know Janae. Like, oh my goodness, you know. And then even to, you know, connect with Ebony now, like, oh, you're Hebrew, like, oh, this is, you know, like, nothing happens by accident. Everything flows into each other in some way, shape, or form at some point down the line. We all intersect with one another, and the choices, decisions, and things that we do intersect with other people. It does, yes. And you are a part of the flow.
I'll get you some in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But y'all notice if I may,
no more until we get home.
The separation, everyone doing their own thing, that's on purpose. That has been done with purpose for us to be separated, because I believe I was listening to a lecture by Brother Jibril Muhammad, old lecture, but something he said always struck me, which was, when Black people come together, we generate power. And how much power can we generate when we're separated in all of our different purposes, as opposed to coming together for one purpose, like we are here on this beautiful show. Thank you to Goddess Nanu for doing this, right? I just wanted to add those two bits, because y'all were just hitting some core things for me. And I was like, yeah.
And what you're saying is powerful, Janae. What you're saying is very powerful, because you pointing your finger at collective consciousness, which is what I'm really trying to drill in here, the power of collective consciousness. When you're in one place, and you all have the same mind, it lifts the vibration of that place. That's where miracles can happen. That's where change can really happen, when we come together with one mind to create change. One person can't do it. One person can lead the change. They can convince everybody else and get everybody else's mind on the same page, but they can't do it. Other people have to take on that mindset. So we need to really have a Christ movement, a Black life movement. That's what we need to do to crush this death movement we got going on, this anti-life movement that's going on right now. And I think Janae bumped out, but she's coming back. Okay, good. So it's really about, that's why the collective consciousness is so important. It's so important for us to speak up and speak out and speak the truth when we see things going on. You know, it's so important. And that's why they have us separated, because guess what? Your enemy knows this. That's why they move you collectively to this way and that way to accomplish what they want to accomplish. You know, so they're using you against yourself. Using you against yourself because you're in a fog somewhere, you know, and you're not conscious, you know, and anytime you're not
connected, you're not tied in, which means that someone else can't even catch the spirit of what's going on to be able to say, let me call, let me connect, let me check in, and be able to help even fill the gap or solve issues or solve concerns and things that happen. You see it in marriages all the time. When you're connected, sometimes you're thinking about them, then they call, or even in your friendships, in your, you know, collective and other relationships and things like that. When you're collected in and connected in, like someone gets a sense or a feeling that something's happening or going on, and there is no way to even to explain it except that it is a collective consciousness.
Absolutely.
But they're trying, you know, see, my feeling is that the powers that be are trying to make us collectively conscious with what their agenda is.
Absolutely.
Like I see this whole communist agenda happening and people think I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, you're like, you don't see it. Like, and people don't see it. So that is their level, but it is designed to still keep us subjected.
Right.
Versus
choose.
Right.
We have to choose what our thought process is going to be. You have to be mindful of your thoughts, because as you think, that's how you are. You have to think positive about yourself. You have to think positive about your husband, you know, you have
your family, your people,
your thoughts, so that you continue to think positive. You have to think positive about one another as Black women. We have to think positive about each other as Black people, because if we don't, we're giving in to those lies. We're giving in to our enemy who's trying to take us out. And we have to manage our thoughts, because that's where the first battle is. That's where the first battle is right here in our minds. And we have this, and what they want you to do is to get you to the point where you're by yourself. We can't rely on each other. So who do you rely on then? When you can't rely on your people, who do you end up relying on? The system.
Your enemy.
How about they call them the Zaddy government.
Crazy.
Janae, what you laughing at?
Because that is textbook narcissism right there. To separate you from everybody that you love, everyone that will support you, to make you think that they're the only. Oh, damn! This is
textbook abuser.
The only people you have.
Textbook abuser.
They are all savage, right?
Textbook abuser. Textbook abuser.
And, you know, I was kind of raised in a family like that. You know, I really was. And I know some of us probably have been raised in abusive homes, and other of us have been raised in abusive homes. But we can overcome that. We can't think just because we've had a bad experience, we've had a negative experience, we have been abused by other people that look like us. We can't give in to the idea that that's how all people are, or that's how our people are. You can't do that, because you have people like us right here talking with one another. What you have to do is let go of those abusive relationships. See them for what they are. Even the abusive relationship you have with this society, with this white racist society. Your relationship with this white racist society, you have to let it go. And you have to
Very much so.
find those people and attract those people. And when you change your mind, and when you make up your mind, you will connect with those people, because that's just the way God works.
You know, one of the things that I think for folks, anyone who is watching this and they, you know, deep in their heart really want to connect, but again, because of, you know, abusive relationships, you know, lack of trust and things like that, I think they have that. One of the things that needs to be made very clear is that this is a journey and it's a process. And you go through a series of transitions as you're getting to that ideal collective consciousness. That there's some people make the jump quickly. Other people like me are a little slow and hard-headed as we're still moving and, you know, moving through life and moving through doing some things. And, you know, the hope is even that your children or grandchildren end up being even closer to it than you are. I mean, I'm just now realizing my daughters are like, oh yeah, no, we're pretty, they're telling me things that I'm like, oh, that's radical. And they're like, oh yeah, we kind of connected with some Black radicals here. And I'm like, really? And they were like, well, we didn't think you were quite ready for it. And I was like, you know, I appreciate you being honest about that. But that really kind of helped even for me to see that there is a transition, and that you may even at times be walking in two different worlds, especially if you still have to be connected to the matrix for certain, because of the way your livelihood is set up. The question is, are you going to get the information, tools, and resources that you need so that you can cross over to be able to separate from that system and to be able to exist and live and move forward and be sovereign in yourself and sufficient? Like, and do people really even understand? I'm still even scratching the surface of what all that means. Are you ready for it? And it's okay if you're not ready for it. The thing is that to still stay on that road of transition, to keep going and transition over. You know, from a mental health and behavioral health perspective, you know, depending on the depth and level of someone's abusive history that they've been a part of, it really can take a while, maybe a lifetime, maybe not. The point is to not still keep moving. The point is to keep moving. The point is that you can't ever trust your adversary. You cannot ever trust your enemy, someone who by word, by mouth, by thought, by deed, by decisions, by social system setup and structure is designed to kill you, designed to kill your children, designed to kill your parents, designed to kill every offspring that you have and stretch out your death, stretch out their death so that it gets every ounce of work, mind, body, and soul from you. In the process, while still killing you, stepping on you, trampling over you, walking over you, and then still moving somebody else in your place. I mean, it's almost like this whole society is like a barn full of, you know, chickens, you know, that are, right? You know, well, one dies and they're still there dead and everybody else is clucking around them. And, you know, it's like, wait a minute, no one sees this? But we're also just packed in and so worried about being able to get your next little bit of corn, your next little bit of corn, so that you can, because you're thinking, oh, I'm not realizing, wait a minute, is there a place, is there an opening so that we can just bolt and run? But that also means becoming self-sufficient. That means becoming self-sufficient and connecting with others so that you can then bargain and trade for what it is that you need. You already bargain and trade anyway with this monetary system that they have you sucked into, that you have it before you as if it's another god. It represents movability, right? It represents movability. Mm-hmm. So how can you do that without continually enslaving yourself?
You have to become. We have to become interdependent. Not
collective.
Independent.
Collective.
Not independent and not dependent. We need to be interdependent on those who are dependable, on those who want what's best for us, which we should be
becoming reliable
and
becoming dependable, so that someone
absolutely
and becoming dependable as well.
Absolutely. Miss Arrington said, I just see like the power. It just seems like the powers that be know their time is up and they are scrambling to grab whomever and whatever they can. Absolutely. I was just about to speak on that next, Miss Arrington. So one of the things we have to be mindful of is this rely on the system movement and this anti-raising your children movement. Because that's what happens when we rely on the system. We end up leaving our children vulnerable for them to be raised by the system. And if they can't do that,
we're already raising our children in the system.
Well,
everyone else, they are raising our children. All we are doing is feeding them, clothing them, and housing them.
A lot of us are.
We have very minimal oversight in shaping their personalities, but we really aren't. Because if you're not shaping their mind in the way they think versus so listen, I was raised by folks and my parents loved us, and just like every other typical Black household in America, everybody had their issues, everybody had their own abusive issues as well, right? However, I was raised to be a productive member of society. I was raised to think like them. And I remember being told, you being a Black female, being a double negative, you have to be twice as good, twice as smart, twice as everything to be able to get half of what they'll offer to others. You have to learn how to play the game by their rules in their way. You don't have to necessarily subscribe to the policies. But if I'm being raised to think like that, then that means if I'm being raised to operate and move in that world, which I do, then that means I'm thinking like that as well. Because I'm constructing my whole entire path operating in that field. I'm looking at how to navigate through there versus, wait a minute, like, what do I really need them for? Can I navigate over here? Right. And even now, there are days that I find it difficult to be able to sort through, like what field am I in? What field am I playing in today? What field am I not doing? Like, it's like this. And for many of us, this is true. For those of us who have done our genealogy and we know our ancestors that were here on this particular Turtle Island plot of land, and for those even from other continents, it's like this. You have a house and you have your plot of land, and somebody comes in, kicks in the door, beats everyone up, and takes over. And then they make you stay to serve them, but they put you in the basement. And they take the rest of the house. And then they invite the rest of their friends and family over to occupy the same house. But you still have to stay in the basement. They're giving you all the crap to eat. They're giving you the dirty, nasty water.
You're outside in the hut.
Some of us are. And then they ship in other people and make them share the same basement and hut and outhouse that you do. And then they say, we're only going to give you guys a little bit. So then you all start fighting over it. And then you all start fighting over who's going to be special in their eyes so that you can get a little extra treat.
But we do have a choice, Christina. We do have a choice.
Oh, we do
have a choice. We can choose different. And there is, I believe there is a movement. There's a large number of our people, of God's people, choosing different for themselves.
Absolutely.
I think there's a movement now
Absolutely.
of choosing different, and because of that movement, they're making different moves now to make it even more difficult for you to choose to do the right thing for yourself and to do the right thing for your children, the right thing for your family. You know, if they can't get you to send your children to the schools, and their next goal is the anti-birth movement. You know,
Oh, that's here. That's here.
right, absolutely. Absolutely. The anti-birth movement. You know, we're gonna make you feel like you have to give birth in the hospital. You have completely incompetent. You're completely incompetent in your own body. You know, matter of fact, you're so incompetent that you can't even be trusted to have safe sex, you know. So we're gonna control that. We're gonna give you the morning after pill, you know, so you can just, you know, do it freely, you know, and kill the baby the day after, you know, with no responsibility, you know, no sense of duty, no sense of responsibility to yourself, to your spouse, to your community, nobody. You know, just live for you, you know, be selfish, live for you, and you know, we got you. You know, that's what we're dealing with right now.
As
We
long
got
as you keep spending on that hamster wheel and generating money for us and working and slaving yourself. And you know what? And we'll even treat you at the end of your life and give you a little Social Security too.
Absolutely. And if you need to have a baby, you need to come to us because we're the experts on your body. So you need to come to us, okay? And we're going to stick you with what we want to stick you with. We're going to tell you when you're going to give birth. You're going to come at this time. We're going to induce you and give you this, okay? And you might end up with a C-section and you might end up dead. And with the race the way that they are now, it's very likely that you might not make it out of the hospital.
Yeah, with every intervention that they do in the hospital increases your chances literally of death with every intervention. Yeah.
Right. So we can choose different. I mean, you can choose to birth at home. You can choose to find you a Black midwife. You can choose to find you a Black doctor that can be trusted. Or you can birth freely. You can birth unassisted, or you can do free birth. If you don't know how to do free birth, you know, I teach a free birth class. You have a midwife here, Janae Muhammad. She's a midwife. I know some areas don't have Black midwives, you know, but, you know, through the grapevine, you know, find somebody, you know, or teach yourself or learn for yourself how to give birth to your own baby. You know, if you can learn how to do the things that are necessary for you to get pregnant with the baby, you can learn how to do the things that are necessary for you to have a healthy birth. Or you can, you know, and you can choose to homeschool your children too. We have a homeschool co-op, so you can choose different. Everybody has the option to choose different right now.
And the more that you educate yourself, the more that you will build up your birth confidence and your efficacy in yourself so that you can go ahead and move forward and do what you want to do and be safe and be healthy and well along with your family.
Absolutely. And then if they can't get you in birth, if they can't kill your child right at the hospital, you know, then they're going to hit them with the anti-gender movement, right? The anti-gender movement. That's what I'm calling it. You know, you don't have a gender. You know, you can be whatever you want, you know. And if your genitals don't match what you think your gender is, you know, then just go and cut them off. You know, this is crazy. This is crazy, the stuff that they are teaching these children. You know, I'm not talking about adults. You know, they've been abused or molested or whatever, and they have issues, you know, psychological issues, because that's what, you know, is diagnosed. You have to be diagnosed to get your sex changed. So this is a mental issue that stems from something happening, some trauma that happened to this person. And instead of them helping these people deal with the trauma, they're going to capitalize off of this. No, you're going to get plastic surgery. We're going to make all this money off of you now. And now they're going to start when they're babies. You know?
Well, it used to be. So there's a book, like a guideline It's being used for more than that, but initially it was used as it's called the Diagnostic of Statistic Manual, which has all of the different diagnoses for psychiatric, mental health, behavioral health diagnosis. You see, we're on the current number 10, I believe, for the US, and the one in Europe is called the ICD-9, I think it is. They're on the 9th edition. And years ago, if you look in the previous editions, right, if someone had body dysmorphia, if someone had gender dysmorphia issues, those actually were listed as being a part of or subsequent to, I know I'm not saying this correctly, subsequent to some type of trauma. And there were protocols and what you needed to do to address it. And that's not it's being completely removed out. And then again, they also said, if a woman was raising her voice, she was hysterical and that she needed to be drugged as well. So, I mean, I just feel like this society just hates women and children, quite honestly.
I don't know. If you're looking at it in terms of patriarchal society, that naturally everyone underneath them is going to look that way because they feel like they're underneath them. But when you talk about white people, that's just their nature. Like, it's just very simple to me. Okay, that's your nature. I'm going to stay over here. I keep my children with me most of the time, or their dad, even for school, because you just don't test the nature of everyone else.
You can't. They're not trustworthy. You shouldn't.
It's just hard.
You shouldn't.
And that should be, I feel like that's the case of most, if not all, Black people. So when we talk about this anti-Christ mentality, all these different things that they have come up with in the world, especially in the American world, as part of the nature. My main concern really is how to, and I've asked this question because some of my younger moms deal with this problem, but how to get them out of the mindset of this is all there is and you will never be anything else but whatever it is they tell you. Because you all mentioned something about having healthy births, but you got to start from before you start having sex. Like way before you start having sex. At the end of the day, we build in communities. So somebody has to teach your mother how to take care of herself so that she can teach you how to take care of yourself. I didn't grow up with, my mother was around, but because she wasn't taught by her mother because she died young. So now my children are playing instead of going to bed, but I'm just let them be free for now. It was things that she wasn't able to teach me because nobody taught her. So I had to learn on my own. How, and I'm going to pose this question to everybody, do we get young people, young families, young Black women, men to get away from the mindset that this is all there is? These are the only people that they have to listen to. This is all that I'm going to ever be in my life. Of all the things that we mentioned on the show so far, how do we get them away from that? Because I feel like everyone here has been hand selected. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of Black people who haven't heard or learned or even care at this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me start by first and foremost sharing a little bit about myself. Neither one of my parents raised me. And I have two parents. Neither one of them raised me. I've been through it. I'm not going to go into details on this show, but I've been through it. I haven't been taught anything. So I think first we have to demonstrate. While we're demonstrating and we're teaching, we also have to hold people accountable, because what we can't do is make ourselves completely responsible for the well-being of everyone else. Everybody has to make a choice. And I believe that everybody comes to a place where they're given the information is presented to them, and they have to make a choice whether or not they are going to choose Christ consciousness or choose God or choose life or choose the way, because there are plenty of people listening to this right now, you know, or hearing somebody on the street, or however you came into the knowledge. I know for me, you know, I met somebody, you know, and they told me this and told me that, and I took initiative upon myself to research and to learn. So we have to take initiatives for ourselves first and foremost, but also we have to create as well those opportunities for people to meet the information. That's what we're doing right now with this panel discussion, is we are offering this information out there for them to learn and to improve themselves. But people have to take initiative too. You can only meet them halfway. You can't meet them all the way, because you'll burn yourself out trying to meet them all the way, you know, and then they might not even want to go with you. So, you know, you have to put it out there, put yourself out there, you know, and make ourselves available. Those of us who do know and can offer information, can offer services, to be present, you know, and to have events where we are doing what we're doing right now, which is sharing information and being available to answer questions, and providing classes, providing services, so that they can take the initiative to engage back with us. Because if they don't engage, I mean, there really is nothing we can do, you know, but they have to want better for themselves first and foremost. And I think a lot of times you may be giving people the benefit of the doubt. A lot of people don't want better, you know, so, you know, you have to accept that as being the truth too. A lot of people that you want to choose our side, they're not going to choose our side because it's too convenient.
Well, what's better?
To choose something else.
I think one of the things that's difficult is for folks to see what is their version of better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is their version of better? And everyone has a journey in getting to this side where we're at. Everyone has a journey. I've had to wear myself out in that world to get to a point of saying, I don't want this. You know what? I'm not happy. I've gotten everything that I've asked for the most part, and I'm still not happy. This isn't what I want. And then to see how things.
Oppressed. We're still oppressed.
Oh, we are still oppressed.
Yeah.
We are still oppressed in a lot of ways, and there's other ways. The more that we're moving toward, for each person, I think, who's moving towards self-sustainability, mentally, practically, in life, emotionally, spiritually, physically, in your food, in your housing, all of that. The more that you're moving, and in some ways, you still, because, which kind of reminds me of even the situation that happened with the little boy and girl who were taken from their parents. We still have this threat of violence, and we still have to move and operate with these people who violently still hold control over the land. Right. But for everyone, I'm just saying it's a journey to get to what's better. We see, and we're all of the same collective mindset and growing. I'm still growing toward that and growing even in my own faith. And wow, can this really be different? Can, you know, what are we going to do? And it's like, oh, live free. And we're all still getting to that ideal place. The thing is, you know, people being on that journey and hitting walls and hitting frustration and getting to the point of saying, I don't want this anymore. And some people it may not take that much. It may not take as long or as much as it is me or someone else, who still moves and operates in this system. But there it is, what's better?
All right, wonderful. Ebony, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I will. I like to add something. Going back to what Janae mentioned before Christina was talking, was about how do we get those who aren't in our close circles, pretty much. How are we reaching those people? And what came to mind was the level of programming that the enemy does, like overtime, overkill, to the point of what they're doing with the TV and the news. It's incredible the amount of information that the amount of information that's being broadcasted. I've seen somebody play a words broadcasting. I was like, wow, that's deep. That they do through media, through social media, through the television. And when I talk to people, my first thing is like, just turn off your TV, for real. Like, stop watching TV, free your mind, start to think for yourself. Because someone was talking about thoughts earlier. They're literally planting seeds of thoughts in your mind, to the point where you think that it's really your own original idea, but you're really regurgitating what you heard on TV and on social media. So I just kind of wanted to add that tidbit in regards to the people that we're trying to reach. Tell them to stop watching TV, go on fast, for real. Stop feeding your bodies all this toxic ingredients. It's affecting your mind. They'll think you're crazy, but it really is. Like, anything that you put into your body, it affects you, either for the bad. It goes back to choices. Is either you're choosing life or you're choosing death. There's no in between.
Ebony.
There's no in between.
Absolutely. You're choosing life with what you watch. You're choosing life with what you say. You're choosing life with what you hear. You're choosing life with what you eat. You're choosing life with the environment you choose to be in. All of that. All of it. Absolutely. But definitely, if you share, please share this live broadcast so that
I don't even watch the news anymore.
Can be introduced to the information. Those who don't know the information, make sure you're sharing it and sharing whatever you know with other people. We got a lot of people who are trying to hoard information. We do have a lot of hoarders that want to hoard information and act as though they came on this information on their own. All of us know what we know because somebody shared, somebody had a conversation, somebody offered a class, somebody offered to mentor us, and we have to be grateful. We have to make sure that we are lifting those people up. And we have to make sure we're sharing the information, sharing that person's link, sharing that person's website, so that other people can be introduced to the information. Because as one of us does better, all of us are doing better.
The tide rises all boats.
Right.
I like that. Say that again, Christina.
The tide rises all boats.
The tide rises all boats. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
And I think, what bothers me is that people don't want to listen unless you have a whole bunch of stinking letters after your name. I'm like, really? Like, that's what it takes? Like, so you need a whole stream of letters and all of a sudden you're like an authority? I've seen young women who are in hospitals. Oh, they've got these letters after their name and they're tagged as, like, for example, Ebony, lactation experts, lactation consultants, and they've never even had kids. Oh, but because you have these letters after your name.
Wow.
Really?
That's
I
crazy.
had a cut like this one's. Oh, well, I'm the lactation consultant. With my daughter, with my one daughter, and I'm like, and I breastfed her till she was 18 months. So who's really more experienced here? Did you breastfeed your children? Because I did. So, like, really? Who like, come again? There's certain things that you may have a certain particular type of education for. Okay. But, you know, I've got education as well. Just because I don't have a string of letters after my name doesn't mean that I'm uneducated.
Right. We as people have to get out of that mentality.
I mean, or how about how many doctors have actually learned more from midwives who were in the backwoods than they have from their textbooks that were built off of cutting open our bodies? Should I keep going?
Go
Yeah,
there.
really
I don't even want to go there.
No. So a lot of folks are still of the mindset of, well, this person has all these letters, and many of us get into the, and I have too, gotten into the certification, justification train line, where you're taking this after this after this just to show and prove that you know something, when it isn't even still any education or for an adult isn't even solidified until you've had experiential connection with like, it doesn't even, unless you have had some type of experience with the particular format, it doesn't even matter, and you're going to forget about it anyway.
You have to put it in practice. You have to put it in practice. And this is not to make anybody feel bad, because I know I was once that person, you know, who thought I knew so much. I was once that person, you know, I'm an early childhood education major. I have my BA in early childhood education. And, you know, I spent a lot of time with children, you know, and that is experience. But there is so much you really just do not know until you have your own child. It's just like another world.
That part.
People used to say that, and I used to, you know, roll my neck, you know, not directly, but, you know, in my mind, I'm like, you know, and I was skilled now, don't get me wrong, I have a gift, but at the same time, there's a level that, you know, I would have never attained if I didn't have my own children and my own experience to realize, you know, how children are, like really, really how they are, and to understand the connection that a mother has with their child, you know, just so much to that, you know, that experience really has to teach you. Really does have to teach you.
I was talking with my coworker today, who's an amazing nurse, and we were having a discussion. She is like really worried about her little girl because she's 3 and she's not eating, or she'll eat one thing in particular, but she's not eating meat, or not eating more of this, or not eating more of the other. And I'm like, wait. Here's something you're not going to learn in the books. They eat like birds during the toddler years. They eat like birds. I'm like, wait, is she eating fruit? Yeah, she eats lots of fruit. She starts naming all these different fruit. I said, and she still wants to eat it? Yes, but you know, she wants juice and she wants this. And I'm like, leave her alone. Here's something else they won't tell you in the books. That at that age, they are seeking control and autonomy over themselves. I can now walk, talk, move, and do whatever it is I want to do. I have freedom to move my body. I'm not stuck sitting on someone's lap as an infant or in a chair. I can actually move. I'm going to do that instead of eating. That is behavior that no one talks about. They talk about the negative behavior. They talk about how toddlers, all they want to do is have temper tantrums and things like that. It's because they are working on control. So we were really trying to encourage her. Well, she's still eating. Her behavior hasn't changed. She's still at her normal baseline. Leave her be. She's fine. But they have you brainwashed. I hate this place.
That is an American thing. They go off statistics that they read on their computer, and then they complain when your child is not at a certain weight. But let me see. This is also why I don't send my children to the pediatrician. Let me tell you what a doctor told me. Who's from a different country. She said that the statistics in America that they have to follow for these children's growth rate is outrageously larger than everybody else in the world, right? American babies are big. I'm about to cuss, but they're according to their statistics. So if your child is
Caucasian babies. Caucasian babies.
have you ever seen
the
them?
World Health
Have you ever
Organization.
seen them babies?
World Health Organization, and it's based off of European standards.
Right.
European
And
body
most of them aren't breastfed, most of them are full of formula. Those standards are completely unrealistic and they don't pertain to our babies. And most of them, especially if you take your child to the pediatrician after having a home birth, don't know how to gauge the rate at which your baby's supposed to grow. They don't. Stop us, all right. Sorry, she's just deciding who eats what she wants to eat, throwing her food on the floor right now. But
leave that baby alone.
Autonomy is her thing. She's 2. She eats she's on a vegan diet, but per her diet, she eats what she wants to eat. I don't bother the child. You know why? Because she's still smart and she's still growing and she's still developing at her own pace. That's what, and I feel like we need to tell more people that, because they scare us whenever we take our children to any medical facility. They scare you into following information that they don't necessarily know for sure to be accurate, or yes, I'll open it for you, or hold on, I gotta put the phone down, or healthy for your child.
Right.
So, and don't subscribe to them.
or not even taking into account their baseline. Are they meeting all of the aforementioned milestones? Are they meeting the typical milestones? If so, leave them alone. My granddaughter, man, she was pushing 30 pounds. She was exclusively breastfed. And she was pushing, she wasn't quite at 30, but she was almost there at like a year. And the pediatrician was like, the nurse practitioner was like, well, I'm concerned. I think maybe you should only be feeding her if she's gaining too much weight and she needs to lose weight. I was like, she's a baby and she's not walking. Once she starts walking, it's all going. And then I finally told my daughter, I said, stop taking her there. I said, stop taking her there. Stop taking her to these people, because they're basing it off of what? That can we look at the breastfed chart? The breastfed chart from the World Health Organization. And even then I was like, who cares? Is she meeting her milestones? As a matter of fact, she's beyond the milestones. So stop. I even said this to her and I was like, I'm sorry. Let me ask you a question. Do you recall this being a conversation when your kids were little? In the meantime, never mind. I'm not going to talk bad about the woman.
And I don't mean to cut you off, Christina, but I want to move on to these incidents that have recently happened.
Yes.
And before I do, I just want to really quickly say, I recommend everybody get Dr. Jewel Pookrum. She has some good books out that really explains the biological difference between melanin dominant people and melanin recessive people. And you really need to check out her books, especially the ones on minerals and vitamins that we need. And she has a new book out that's about emergency preparedness to help you all prepare for what's coming, because we're at war right now. These people are not going to stop attacking us. It's only going to get worse. The more that we fight back, the worse that it's going to get. And you're going to have to stand strong and you're going to have to know what to do. So I definitely recommend her books. Just throwing that out there, especially if you want to really know the difference, and she's a doctor and she's going to give you the science so you can understand that we are different. There's a difference between melanin dominant and melanin recessive people. We are not the same, not at all. We're not the same. And it'll help you understand why you're going through what you're going through. Okay. And also Dr. Frances Cress Wilson. I'll put it in the chat for you, Brandy. I'm going to put it in the chat. And, Dr. Milliere, is there anything you'd like to say really quickly before we move on to the videos? Anything you'd like to say about the Antichrist mentality or Christ consciousness before we move on to those videos?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
First of all, I want to say how thankful I am to be on this panel. Very, I appreciate the difficulty of it. And I don't know much about giving birth. It's something reserved for the female. But I will say that I think the challenge that we face, as you all said, we've come a long way as far as the mindset. And there are many people, I think more people than we give credit for that have arrived at these mindsets. And just a matter of what they put over what's important to them for making the next transition. And I say that to say this because there are different things, and I say this in all due respect, to our religious association and our social association and our biological association. Because I was a surgeon before I was into psychiatric practice. I was a surgeon in the war with 2 deployments, and there is vast difference, even surgically and chances of making it and things of that nature. As vast as there is our mental health, the black mind that is very tender and very full of information and full of responses that have never been given a chance in the mental health journal. And I mean the DSM 1-5, which is a diagnostic statistical manual that they use in mental health. So when I say that, I want to tell you that it was a very difficult journey for myself because I didn't come from a home that had all of those challenges. I come from a family that had lots of advantages, lots of privileges. For instance, before I was 16 or 17, I was already visited 3 countries, so that was a vast advantage. But what I want to say is simply this: is that I learned when I got to Harvard University, I learned that even the black person that quote unquote think they have wealth, that there is still a vast gulf between them and also what's associated with white wealth. I want to say that. So just the fact the systems of institutions that were created in America as a result of slavery, as a result of oppression, both corporate and internationally and institutionally, the white man still gives himself, still gives himself a vast advantage. So even the black people who think they have money, it's a level of poverty that we could never imagine. It's still a level of poverty, if that makes any sense. They're wealthy, but they don't have the advantages of wealth. They have the advantages of material wealth, but don't have the advantages of associated wealth and common wealth amongst other whites, like as whites would have it. And you often hear this term common wealth. So this is something that separates the white man from the black man when he talks about those things. So I wanted to say that. Also, I want to say very quickly that we suffer from manic aggressive personality disorder, which is my research. And you'll find my books, Black Rage 1, Black Rage 2, and Manic Aggressive Personality Disorder, which explains these things these things that we're going through, and explains our level of reception, our level to be able to recognize these things that we're going through, because these are very important. And the last point I want to make is that in the family, even for those of us that have arrived, and this is to the black women especially, I want to say this, and I don't mean to offend you, but we must speak truth. In our religious institutions are full of black women, which is a positive thing. Without the black woman, we wouldn't be able to do these things. We wouldn't be able to create soldiers, because that's what you are, your military manufacturing plants for the black community that is one day becoming enlightened to the fact that we'll have to fight like every other colony has done, every other slave and every other colony has done to get our rights. So I thank Allah for that, and thank Allah for you on that. But on the other end, the suffering and the oppression that you come under can many times allow you to oppress your male and say things that are mentally cruel, things that are socially cruel, and things that are logically cruel to him. So we have to be very careful about that. as black women. And there's more to being a Hebrew Israelite or a Muslim or a Church of God in Christ or holiness or whatever you call yourself these days, because there's many different things to that. I don't say that. So whatever you think the right title is, there's more to that than headdress and body dress. There's so much more to that. We have to be emotionally and psychologically in touch with ourselves and with our families, which is the fighting unit that we have. Without the family, we don't have soldiers. Without the family, that means the man, the woman, and the child. And if there's any damage to the woman, the child is going to feel it. If there's any damage to the man, the child is going to feel it. And so we've got to learn how to encourage one another, build one another up as soldier units, and to be strong and strengthen one another, even in the weakest, almost weakest hour, that we can continue to encourage one another. And that's a learning lesson for both the male and the female. That's a learning lesson. So we have to be very careful to build one another up. The last thing I want to say before we move on is simply this: is that we won't have any advantage until we realize the difference between the truth and a lie. And I say that to say this: I myself, I'm saying this. It's very difficult in the journey that I made, but I must be truthful. I myself, as a minister of the Nation of Islam, I myself found out that there's when you talk about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, you're talking about a strong level of truth. You're talking about a solid truth. And I think that's for any kind of religion, whether it be Christianity or a Hebrew Israelite or whatever. But you'll find out that if we're not sensitive to the truth and to follow it and to practice it with all of our heart, with all of our mind, with all of our soul, and with all of our strength, we'll find ourselves deviating. And I think it's the same way in Black life. If we don't find something that will cause us to be emotional enough and sensitive enough to live right, then we'll find that there are other different teachers that come in front of us that can lead us many different ways. And I say that in the level of the white man. He has agents that are hiding in plain sight among us from all of our religious groups. And I want you to understand this, that can say something that seems like the truth, seems close to the truth. And since we're following it and we're devout, by not checking our leaders, because no one is exempt from checking our leaders all the way down to make sure that they're living exactly what they're saying as well. And in saying that, I'm saying a lot, and I hope you understand what I'm saying.
All right, I'm gonna play this video, everybody, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, I'm gonna play this video.
Yeah, that's it.
We can't hear it, by the way.
Yeah, I hear it.
Oh my goodness. He has an illegal hold on her.
All right, so that's about as much as I could take. Personally, that's about as much as I could take.
Oh, I had to go to another screen. I couldn't.
Yeah, you know, it was hard to watch. It was definitely hard to watch.
It's me.
Sorry, everybody. We got two computers going in here. Woo. You know, that was a lot. That was a lot. And her baby was a few days old. And, you know, as far as I understand, you know, I can't even figure out what excuse they have for even taking that baby. You know.
And I wanted to add too that she's only a few days postpartum as well. You know what I mean? Like
they said that she was being disorderly.
So, okay. So I don't know about other states, but here in Pennsylvania, and I think generally speaking in other states as well, you do not have to have proof that there is any type of abuse.
Oh my God. Oh my Lord.
You do not have to have proof and for those of us who are mandated reporters, I am a mandated reporter. I'm also a state certified investigator. You do not have to have proof to raise an allegation of abuse for investigation.
Yeah, that's all somebody made a report that the baby was at risk of neglect. That's it.
Right. And then what happens is, for safety purposes, the child or individual, like in the program that I work in for adults, is removed out of the home, is removed immediately for safety purposes until the investigation is over. And if there are other children in the home, there is a case that's made for all of them to be removed, because if there's a likelihood that one is the subject of abuse, then there's a higher likelihood that all of them are. I'm just telling you, not what I believe, but what is the rule, the judgment, and the process. And so I think and even in a lot of other states, it's the same way as well, that you do not have to have proof. You do not have to have any evidence. You only have to say to some authority figure, the police or someone else who is in charge in a facility. I think that I'm questioning what's happening. I think something's going on. Now, if the leader of a particular program has any type of moral fortitude, they will definitely say, okay, well, tell me about what happened. What gave you that impression or incident? But I know that's the leader of my program. Well, wait a minute, what happened? And then, so, it's like, okay, well, what did you see? What did you witness here secondhand, here firsthand, here in passing, anything like that? We've had investigations start, or at least in the past that I've heard of, because someone else at someone in the same doctor's office saw an individual being verbally mistreated by their one-on-one, direct support professional, and investigations have started. I kid you not. Like it's like that. So on the one hand, I mean, in trying to look at this from a balanced viewpoint, right? If I'm pulling myself out of this and looking at this from a balanced viewpoint, there's a responsibility, right, of the community at large to ensure the safety of those who are vulnerable in our population, right?
Well,
the thing is,
the mama and baby were vulnerable,
right? So the thing is, true. The thing
surrounded
is,
by a bunch of white villains.
So
big, bulgy white men And
Right,
racist white
with the
women.
threat of violence. She actually had violence committed against her in the taking of her child by authorities, and they used that well, because there was the question mark of your child's safety being in danger, that justifies us in using violence and putting our hands on you, right? And what's interesting is the amount of people in authority positions that who will very staunchly say that they're not racist, that they're not bigoted, and people keep saying someone's racist when really the difference is that that their racism and bigotry are two different things, right? So people who are part of a race that has privilege, you're automatically racist because you're born into a state of privilege. That doesn't necessarily mean you're bigoted. And what a lot of people who are in those positions miss is that they have an inherent bigotry in the way that they view us. See, if you don't come in sounding like I sound right now in my work voice, in the words of Dave Chappelle, all Black people are bilingual. They speak Ebonics and they speak job interview, right? So if someone's not coming in presenting themselves in a particular way, not only in the way that you speak, but in your appearance, and then also in the way that you defer to them as the authority, like a teacher, like you would someone who's above you. They don't recognize that if I'm not coming to you in that particular mode, you automatically think, oh, you're one of those uppity Negroes, or you're stepping out of your place, or you don't present yourself with your hair or your attire like us. Therefore, there must be something wrong with you, and you must be abusive because you are not presenting yourself in the acceptable viewpoint that white people need to see you in. And not just white people, and I don't want to say only them, but the ruling class of people in this society. If you're not presenting yourself in the way that they find acceptable and palatable, then you're automatically a threat. And, we've got to save your children because they're young and they're impressionable. So if we can get them early, then we can shape and mold them and cultivate them in the way that we want. Now, which is interesting because then once they're adults, they are able to speak and have choice, when actually they always have choice. But an infant and a child can't make their choice known per se in words. So they use that as the excuse and the reason to take them.
I'm going to save my opinions for last. Janae, what do you have to say about that?
I think it's in the language. There's a lot of coded language, especially when it comes to taking your children there. There's a lot of coded language, whether it's what they say or what you're signing, that gives them power over what you're doing. For example, if you go to the pediatrician's office and they say something like, okay, you don't vaccinate, that's fine, just sign this refusal letter. No, because what's at the bottom of the refusal letter is an admittance to say that you are knowingly putting your child and whoever's around your child at risk. What does that look like to CPS if you signed your name to that? The same thing with filling out any demographic information. Have you ever read the demographic sheets that they send? They want to know, what is the nature of the neighborhood you live in? Is there violence around? Are there liquor stores close to your neighborhood? Now, most of us who live in the hood live in a certain type of situation. Yes, there's a liquor store, there's a corner store, there's a hair store. There's probably not a good grocery store that serves or sells adequate food. All these things are on the demographic list. Do you have a grocery store within 5 miles of your house? What does that look like to CPS? So when we sign these things and there's coded messages and these coded languages, because I believe that's one of the things that I'm not faulting her or blaming her, but they had her signing sheets while she was already upset and
Her who?
not Saisha.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Watch the whole thing. So
They
she
had
was
her
already
signing
compromised.
papers. Well, she was compromised when they told her they would have to keep her baby, and then they had her signing papers, keeping her at the hospital legally. So it's all encoded. Like there's nothing here for us. I can tell you, there's nothing here for us. However they want to start investigations, they already have a file on you based off of what you may have said or done prior to you having children, or what you may have said or done at the pediatrician's office. They've been paying attention to you the whole time. When my third child was born, I had like some emotional things with her, and I needed to leave the state. And I let people know, all right, I'm out of here. Do you know they sent CPS in the doctor's office, which is when I learned, oh, this is my last time here, right? I needed to have 3 children for this. Please don't fault me. But they sent one of
I never learned till I had grandchildren. So don't know.
Listen, they sent one of them there like, your child needs to have her eye screening. I'm not going to be in the state. Okay, well, what are we going to do? You better figure it out, because I'm leaving and there's nothing you can do to stop me. This is my child. Not only that, but at the time she didn't have a birth certificate, and I advised, if you want to do it, to wait, but you have no legal rights to my child, period, point blank. So my suggestion, regardless of all the things that whatever the mandated reporters, because there are a lot of mandated reporters, a lot of them, from school to pediatrician to your neighbors. Just be careful what you put your name on. Be careful what you say your things to. Be careful who you allow your children to be around, because it doesn't have your best interest at heart. And I'm talking about white people and Black people who think they're white people, and white people who try to be Black people. Keep your children away from that. What you say and write will be used against you in the courts of law and outside the court of law. They don't even follow their laws.
That's my
another
sister.
thing.
That's my sister right away.
That's who wrote that. They don't even follow their laws. So I don't know. Like I stated earlier, I am very not anxious, but I just don't have a whole lot of trust with whoever. And so if you're going to learn how to trust your own intuition, if your child is going through something, figure it out on your own. Do your own research. You don't actually need them. The hospital has necessities, right? If there is serious emergency, you are bleeding for your life. But otherwise, you have everything that you need to be able to take care of your own children, to be able to educate your own children. There are people around, if you can't do it, who can help you. You just have to find your resources. But I'm very, very, very specific for all mamas and everyone to read and look into the coded language, because it's in there. It does not play any games, and they will try to utilize the language against you without you even knowing. Even, for example, and I'm going another tangent about one of my children who happens to be on the spectrum. They give money to you for children who are on the spectrum, or any disabled child, I believe. And when you think about COVID, right, just to bring this up for a minute, imagine you're dependent on that $700 and they tell you, okay, well, you can't get this money unless you're vaccinated. Now you're stuck. So you have to be very careful. There is coded language anywhere. Not to mention, when they do those things, they ask for rights to your child's medical care. So follow instructions.
I think there's another piece to it though that we're missing. There's 2 other pieces we're missing. Not that we're missing, that I think should be mentioned. that if you are and you do need to go into those arenas, and they are arenas because it's a circus, that you need to understand how to phrase your words. Like there is a way that you have to interact and phrase your words. There is a way that you can do it without placing yourself in jeopardy or harm.
Know
like
who your enemy is.
Part of that is, yeah, absolutely. But even how you phrase things, like, oh, right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the B12, for offering the B12. If you wouldn't mind writing that down, I'd like to have our pediatrician handle that. There's a way to phrase it.
And without being combative.
Without being combative. Because it didn't work for our next couple. We're gonna read their story next. That didn't work for them either.
You know, right? So there's a way to say it. There's a way to phrase it. And then I think, even with that next couple, I'm like, well, wait a minute. If the lawyer was there. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So that was the one piece. So Janae, what you were talking about, like, who you're subjecting yourself to, because really that's what it is. You have to be willing to place yourself under subjection to them. And I work in the field, and I know how I'm thinking and how I'm looking at it when I'm in that arena, and even ways of I know exactly what to say, and I know exactly what I'm looking for, and even and I have to know what the law says, what we can do, what we can't do, and there's that is a thing. And I forgot, I'm talking too much, so I forgot the other point. All right,
Ebony, we'd like to hear what you have to say about this situation, and then we're gonna let Papa Bear go, and then
okay. I just
also what's not been said. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're okay. Just 2 points that I wanted to mention. One, ignorance doesn't get you a pass. Being ignorant to everything that Christina, Joanna, Janae have mentioned does not give you a pass in this society. So you need to be informed. You need to be educated as to the laws of where you're giving birth, the state, what's required. Like in the state of Pennsylvania, they don't require the newborn screening. You can decline it. Like, it's not a big deal. It's just what it is. And then my other point was to what Christina was saying, how you word things. My favorite line, my infamous line, I like to call it, yes, I am up to date on all my vaccinations. Period. Yes, I am up to date.
Absolutely. You do not have to be honest. Why do you feel like you should?
Wait, that's not a lie.
That is honest.
That's not a lie. She is up to date on the information.
She's being wise.
That is not a lie.
She's being coy. She's being wise. I got it though. I got it. You do not have to tell your enemy everything. You do not. You can definitely mislead them because they will mislead you. You can't put all your cards on the table for somebody who's trying to take you out. I mean, it's just not smart. And I'm gonna let Dr. Milliere speak right quick, and then I'll. You still with us? Okay.
So this is very interesting, very difficult to watch. I don't know where to start. They're difficult to watch. And see our sister in the hands of these devils, and also see a black demon. Black people can't be devils because they have to follow the rules of the devil, so they're demons. And most of Elijah Muhammad says the black demon is someone who is under the guidance of devils. And so you see this this black demon female sister. Now here she is. You see a black woman who's allowing another black woman to be put in danger because she's being led by devils and fed by devils. So when you're being led and fed by devils, then you're gonna do your master's bidding. Now this black woman in the video could have easily ended what was going on because she's a social worker. Here she is, another sister that's allowing her sister to be attacked and hurt by these devils that are handling her, have ripped her baby away from her. If the black social worker had just opened her mouth and said, "No, I'll take care of this for this sister," she would have never been in trouble. She would have never been in trouble. But then, you know, you have black brothers like that too, that are behind enemy lines, black police officers that help these devils handle our people. They're behind enemy lines. She was done when she walked in there. I'm with Sister Muhammad. I'm with all of everyone on the panel. I'm with everyone on the panel. The minute that she stepped in hell, because that's what we're already in hell, and she went into the belly of hell. One of the bellies of hell is the hospitals, the white hospitals, places they kill and separate us from our children. That's one of the hells. The other hell is the police precinct. That's a hell. The other hell is the schools that our children go to. These are bellies of hell. These are bellies of hell. And so when we get to the place where we're wise enough to keep our children out of there, there's no exception. No exception. And no, why would you tell your enemy the truth? Why would you tell your enemy the truth? You don't owe him any allegiance. And I think that's another thing too. If we pay attention, our enemy is hell bent on honesty. I tell you, honor, courage, and commitment. I was duped. When I went into the military, I was duped. I don't care how you look at it. And I was a young Muslim. I've been attached to the Muslim movement since I was 12 years of age, under the Honorable Dr. Khalid Muhammad, who was taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So it's not that I didn't have the teaching, but there are different levels of understanding. And I was duped like other Muslims when I went into the military. And to go in the military and to see the danger that was there. Sometimes people have to be up close to see what is going on. Sometimes they have to have their eyes snatched out of their head to be forced to see what's going on. This lady, this sister that came into this place is very ignorant. And I'm gonna dare to say that she probably thought that she was different from other black folk, because she walked in there exercising and willing her power. You know, there's a lot of black people who think that there are exceptions in this white man's world. This is hell. It's no different than an animal being in the zoo. One of the worst things that can happen for me is to see an animal in the zoo when he belongs in his pride land. I hate to see lions caged. I hate to see gorillas caged, giraffes, you name it, taken away from their homelands. I want you to really, really understand what I'm saying, because this is the best example that I can get of us in America. A lot of us believe that we are Americans. We believe that we're free. We believe that we have rights, and we believe that slavery is over. We think that we're off the plantation. All of these things we believe. But when in reality, we're no different than animals that are in a zoo. No different. If you look, you go in the black community in whatever state that you're in the black community, whatever state you're in, wherever you go, you'll find out that you go to the black community, whether it's wealthy or not, or even the ones that are inside of the white district, they're always made a spectacle. So you'll find that the one that is living in the wealthy district is no different than the one that's living in the non-wealthy district. The one that is in Beverly Hills is no different than the one that is in Beverly Hills, which is the projects. It's no different because you're made a spectacle. You're just like the animals in the zoo. It looks like home, but it'll never be home. It'll never be home. If you stay there long enough, you may feel like you're at home, but it'll never be home. So you find out the animals in the zoo, they die earlier than they would if they were in their own land. That's just like us. We're in this man's zoo. That's what it is. America is nothing but a plantation. And we're here in this man's zoo, and you find many of us dying early from heart disease, dying from mental disease, dying from biological disease, dying from vaccines and things of that nature. And the white man, if he's the same way that he is in the zoo, he's concerned as to why we're going. He's concerned. But in reality, he knows why we're going. He'll act like he's concerned. But in reality, he knows why we're going because he's feeding us all the bad food. He got us in these bad institutions, and he's giving us bad knowledge, and he's practicing bad science on us, social science, medical science, psychological science, and otherwise, practicing these things on us, and it's having an effect on us. And while we're in this land, while we're in this plantation, while we're in this zoo, while we'll never have freedom. We'll never have freedom in these places. And that's the problem. Too many of us feel that we're free. We'll never be free. And I say this as a Muslim minister. I say this as a psychiatrist. And even when we were doing surgery, there were black people. And if it had not been for the black surgeons, and this is in the military. This is in the military. There were black people that were never made it home safely. So I got a real wake-up call being in the military, which is the highest organization in the world that protects American rights. And when you look at a policeman, when you look at a doctor, you're looking at the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, the doctor's no different. The white doctor's no different. When you look at a black doctor that'll do his master's will, well, he's nothing more than a coon and a black neck, a black chocolate-covered cracker that is doing the job of his white cracker. It's the only thing. That's what it is. And finally, the last thing I want to tell you, you remember a doctor named Susan Moore who was giving out the COVID vaccine. And this is very significant because before we had to close the clinic, I was watching this. Now, this demon was giving black people the COVID vaccine, was picked by Donald Trump to parade in Washington, D.C. to give black people the COVID vaccine because she thought that she was particular. She thought that the white people made her an exception. Well, what happened? Soon, these white devils insisted that she would take it and told her that she was taking a placebo. And what really ended up happening is they gave her the vaccine. Now, when they gave her the vaccine, after they gave it to her, and she began to have all of these complications where her body is shutting down, it's hard for her to breathe, cyanosis is setting in, she had the nerve to say that these white doctors talked to her and treated her like she was a nobody. What she meant to say was that they were talking to her and treating her like she was a regular black nigger. That's what she meant. See, you gotta have sensitive eyes and sensitive ears to hear this. Well, when that coon, because that's what she was, and I don't say God rest her soul because she's gone, because you gotta understand that many of us in blackface are enemies of progress. We're enemies of liberation if we don't have the teaching, if we don't have the understanding. So this devil got what she deserved. When she was giving black people this COVID vaccine and it was killing them, then they gave it to her and it began to kill her. It began to kill her. And so I feel that she got what she deserved. And a lot of these black people that are with the white man, when the white man finally turned on them and give them what they deserve, which is an act of God, because the devil will always bite itself. If he's a snake, he'll always bite itself. A scorpion, he'll always sting himself and sting those who he's around. And when they get what they deserve, then it'll just kill the place for our salvation, because the Red Sea is open, brothers and sisters. The Red Sea is open. All we got to do is walk through, and we got to have faith. We're marching around 40 years on a 3-day journey to our own liberation and our own deliverance. And we'll have to be like Joshua and Caleb and understand that we'll have to fight this war, because there's too many elderly religious people and politicians and whatever other black nationalist leaders that have sold out to the white man when they already know what has to happen.
All right, so I'm gonna bring us back to Zephaniah right quick. For those who haven't, who missed the video, I did post it in the chat, so you should be able to find it in the chat. My son is eating my food. All right. So I have a few comments to make because here's the thing. Nobody said it, but here's the thing. The sister went to the hospital by herself. That's the biggest issue for me, is that there was a complete lack of awareness of where she was and who she was surrounded by. And we have to know where we are, and we're surrounded by enemies. You need to know that you're surrounded by enemies. If you're going to go somewhere where you're going to be surrounded by enemies, you need to be aware of who your enemy is, okay? And we've been in this country too long for us not to be aware that melanin recessive people, pink people, they're not your friends. They're not our friends. Okay? They are not our
Well,
friends.
she was accepted by them.
You're muted. I don't know why I can't hear you, Christina. They're not your friends. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. That was me. I had my computer muted.
She was accepted by them.
They are not your friends.
Oh, I understand. But for her, remember, she just got finished. She was one of the idolists. She was on American Idol. She was a finalist. So she had been embraced and accepted by that community.
Are you talking about Zephaniah's mom?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about
I was taking us back to Zephaniah and Zephaniah's mom, and she went to the hospital. You know, she went by herself. You know, she just went there by herself. It was just her and her baby. And you know, I mean, that to me that baffles me. You know, why? Like, why did you go there? You were healthy. You know, there was no reason even for her to go. You know, so there was no reason for her to go. She had a healthy baby.
So why did she go? Why was she there?
That's a good question. Why?
Was she there for a checkup?
She had just had the baby. Yeah, I guess she went to, because that's what we think we're supposed to do.
Well, yeah, because so everything around us is shaping your mind toward that. When you look at even all the commercials, right?
What you're supposed to do.
Commercials are speak to your doctor.
These people are not your friends. They're not your friends. You know, you can't put yourselves in these situations. You don't go into a lion's den, you know, and then expect not to get bitten. You don't do that. You know, if you're going to go in the lion's den, at least take the lion keeper, you know, at least take some meat to throw to the lions, or at least take a gun, take something, you know, or somebody, you know. Don't just go out there vulnerable to get torn to pieces. Okay. So to me, that's the biggest issue here, is that she felt comfortable in the climate that we're in right now, felt comfortable to go to the hospital when she didn't have a medical emergency, to go to the hospital, and felt like she could go there and you know, voice her opinions and exercise her rights, and she don't have anybody with her, and she's completely surrounded by Caucasian people. I mean, it's like, where are you living at? Because I'm living in America, and
but
why would you do that?
So speaking as someone who for many years did that, like I'm raised in this multicultural environment, as we all are, and for many of us, it is, you really don't see yourself as any different. And for a lot of women for a lot of people who are very colonized in their mindset, meaning anyone who thinks that if someone is all about, Black power and rooting for everybody Black, if you think that they're weird or think that they're an extremist, then you are colonized in your mind, period, point blank, full stop. And do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Living in an illusion somewhere.
You are in the illusion. And for a lot of people, until they have their first child, they really don't even recognize that they're there. Like, that's how deep the brainwashing is. That's how deep the brainwashing is.
We have to deal with this,
especially if you're raised post civil rights in that 70s and 80s era. See, y'all 90s babies, y'all are on a whole different tip. But for those of us who were in that 70s, 80s, I'm telling you, it is real. The blinders are real, and you're walking around like, I don't understand, why am I being treated this way? Because you're like, what did I do? What have I done?
About to get taken out. You're in a war zone,
which is interesting.
You are in a war zone. If you are Black in America, you're in a war zone.
We are walking around with, like, that guy in that movie Black Hawk Down. He's just standing there, and there's bullets going pew 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 pew, and he's like, yeah, what? That's some of us. That's many of us. We are walking around like that, completely clueless, and some of y'all are yelling at us, talking about, get down. And we're like, why? No one's shooting at me. They're not shooting. Well, why are you down there? And you're looking at us like we are completely nuts, because we are. We're brainwashed.
And I can't make excuses for people. All right. So I can't make excuses for people. We can explain it away. At the end of the day, y'all need to wake up. Y'all need to wake up, because you're not just putting yourself in danger. You're putting these babies in danger, and you're putting the rest of us in danger. You're putting everybody in danger now, because you don't understand that you're in a war zone. Okay? You're putting everybody in danger, because now the expectation is we have to run to your aid now to help save you and this baby, which never should have been a situation. So now you're expecting us to put our lives on the line because we got to save you and this baby now. You understand? So we gotta wise up, not just so we don't put ourselves in danger. Don't put the whole in danger. Don't put the whole unit in danger, because you don't even want to open your eyes to see danger. We don't live in, this not Candyland that we living in. You're Black in America. You're Hispanic in America. You Black, brown, red. You indigenous in America. You're melanin dominant in America. You are at war. There is a war on your life. So we have to understand that, and we have to get over this trust thing, where we feel like we have been so conditioned and so abused in this country that we feel some kind of way that we don't trust people. Like, we looking at ourselves like, maybe I have trust issues, I have a difficult time trusting people. No, you don't. You are a human being, and people should earn your trust. You shouldn't trust nobody until they earn your trust. That is natural and normal. You only think that it's not because your abuser has told you, that trust should just be, that should be the automatic first thing. And that's crazy. That's crazy. It should not. People have to earn your trust. You shouldn't trust anybody until they've earned your trust.
Trust does not equal love.
No.
Remember, we're all supposed to be about love, right? God is love.
I don't want nobody to trust me if I ain't earned it. Don't trust me if I ain't earned it. I'm willing to earn it. Anybody that's worth trusting will be willing to earn your trust.
Well, Yuvelka said, and this is why we don't even have trust among ourselves, Colored, conditioned, and colonized versus colored, awake, and ready for war.
Absolutely. Okay, baby. Go. Okay.
Self-sabotaging, sent to sabotage on the whole. Hey, Leonia.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got to wake up. We've got to stop. Yeah, absolutely. You got it. You got it. Y'all catching it. Absolutely. So here's the thing too. And this is where it comes down to depending on the system. You cannot, don't set yourself up for failure. Why set yourself up for failure? That's like, that hits home for me. Because like I said, I was raised in a very abusive environment. A very neglectful environment. I had to raise myself in so many ways. So that's like, to me, it hits home. It's kind of almost triggering for me when I see people who feel like they can depend on their sister, because it makes me think about my mom, you know. And when you're a child, you don't have a choice. You have to depend on adults around you, you know. And those adults, when you're in an abusive situation, those adults will try to keep you long depending on them way after you should be doing your own thing. And you all have to realize when it's time for you to put your big boy panties on. I'm sorry, your big girl panties on. And your men's underwear, you know, and, you know, pull your britches up, put on your suspenders, your bow tie, whatever you need to do, and go on out here and handle your business and take care of yourself and do for self and connect with other people that are doing for self, because you can't depend on your enemy, okay? You can't depend on people who want to see you fail. You can't depend on your abuser to want you to be successful. They're not going to change. They're not going to change, you know. And you know, word choice is important. We talked about word choice, you know, when dealing with, if you absolutely have an emergency situation and you have no other options and you need to go to the emergency room, you know, don't just say anything. You need to know where you at. The best thing you could do is pretend to be ignorant and pretend to be, you know, a fool and a coon and whatever they want you to be. Just go on, pretend I'm that. Yeah, I'm that. I done had my vaccinations already. You know, whatever. But, you know, you got to be careful about your word choice. But more than anything, don't put yourself in that situation. Don't put us as a people in that situation. All right, we're going to go on to the next video right quick, because this happened again. Because I know I talked about, you know, she shouldn't have went there by herself. But this also happened to a couple. They had their babies taken. Unfortunately, another sad situation where they had their babies taken. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Now that's Zephaniah. This is for I think Amin Ra. And his name Amin Ra. What's the baby's name? Yeah, Amin Ra. Okay.
Watch the lawyer who's in the car with watch the lawyer who's with him.
Now, this baby was taken because their parents refused the B12 shot. You know, you ain't got no, these people see you as slaves. You have to understand, they see you as slaves. You're going to surround yourself by your enemy. You know, they don't feel like you got the right to your own body or to your own child.
Wait, I'm okay.
Trying to make this full screen.
Okay, real quick. Can I say this? And then I got to go put my baby to sleep. They said they refused the B12 shot. But that was live.
Wait. Hold on. What?
Okay.
Hold on.
Right.
Let me. Okay. Okay, I can't put that back on right now. Go put that back. You shouldn't have bothered with it. Go put that back. What were you saying, Janae? Was that Janae talking?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say this and then I gotta go put this baby to sleep, y'all, because it's 11 o'clock. They said that they refused the B12 shot, but they didn't do any refusal of any kind. This was a lie put on by the doctor that was serving them, or supposed to be serving them.
Oh wow.
Yes.
But
Okay.
even if they had, you know, that's not a reason for their child to be taken.
No, that's not against the law. Whoa, they in Florida. That's against their laws. All right, but I have to go, y'all. So I'm up.
All right, no problem.
Thank you for inviting me. All right, assalamu alaikum.
Good night, Janae. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. All right, so let's trying to get to this video with Amin Ra. Let me go back to share my screen. There it goes. Okay, now it's acting real funny. There it goes. You see that all right? Everybody see that okay? Oh, it's muted. There you go.
Let Derek know that now another. Yeah, I just spoke to the investigator. She's en route to you guys now. Okay, all right. So she's aware. I told her you all were en route to the guy officer. So she's aware. She seems at least friendly at this stage. So she's en route to you all. Let him know another car is pulled up.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch on. They was sitting outside the house. So this was somebody. Yeah. They was already ready for this.
Yeah, they're ready. They was ready for this. They're trying to make a scene. But like I said, we'll fight back. Ask your wife to send her location. I'm trying to find it to the best of my ability, but I just want to make sure that I'm with you guys.
All right.
You know how to do that? Send the location.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Look at the nearest address and just give me a landmark or something.
Okay.
On the corner.
I know. I'm gonna give him an address. I know. We gotta give him an address. I got it. Give me a second.
All right.
Well, I knew the nearest address over here, Penny's address. And then you can just keep straight.
I know we fighting to bring Ra home. Now they're
They had some.
wanting to take our newborn.
They had somebody stay up to follow us out. And once we got to the light to turn to head to the courthouse. I'm trying to find an address so the attorney can get to us. And all they do is have one squad car after another pulling out. No, we pulled over nicely when he flashed the lights and told us to pull over. We complied. We've been complying. All we're doing is complying. That's all. On the street, headed driving.
They was waiting outside the house. They was following some day from jump. They never left the house. They was sitting outside. It was a blue unmarked truck. Yeah, they ain't unmarked cars.
No.
It ain't that big deal. That's what they doing.
Cause you black, that's why. Cause you black.
They
can't allow you to do that.
Say what name?
I'm just skipping through a little bit because it's long.
4 kids. Really? Okay. You comply. You read them your rights. You do whatever you do. Like they're just gonna do what they want to do. All right. I'm sitting here. I'm in the green car.
All right.
Yeah, we surrounded by Manatee County Sheriff's Department. They here to take our newborn.
Oh my God. Do you see how many police cars are out there?
No laws have been broken. No statutes have been broken. This is,
And it ain't because they care that much about your baby, that's for sure.
Here's the order. Here's all the. You guys are going to go to the office if you want to be interviewed.
It's punishment.
Case management.
yeah, she's breastfed.
Take your child to the hospital. Here's all the correct paperwork. Okay? That's fine. She can do that in our office. Case management.
They coming right now,
Yes.
and that's can I see that, sir?
Why are they taking it? Because we had gotten a report that you had given birth. You already had one child. Who said I did birth? I think that's the report that we got. So it was a report like harmful report to CPS. So CPS got a report that I gave birth, like I was endangering my baby by giving birth. No. Okay, so we got the report. It said that you had given birth. There was concern because when case management came out the night before to the welfare check of the baby, they couldn't get in the house.
We didn't say that. We said contact our attorney. That's what we told
You
him.
don't have a contract. CPS got the report. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why we're now involved.
Can everyone still hear it, or did it freeze on my end?
It froze to me too. This is heartbreaking. This is really, truly heartbreaking. Yeah, I'm wondering, where's the voice of the NAACP, the New Black Power movement? Where are the Black Greeks? Where are their voices in all of this? How come they're not public? Where is Reverend Al Sharpton? Where are these so-called Black leaders? Where is Jesse Jackson? Why are their voices not being heard on this?
I'm with you on that. I'm speechless. This entire thing has me speechless.
Where's President Obama and Michelle? Ooh. You know, Jesse Jackson can go over and negotiate the release of prisoners in overseas, but you're not, negotiating for these parents. Like, what else are you doing with your time?
And that's why I said when this first came out, people were discussing in other birthing circles, and I said to myself, the only reason why she's getting any coverage is because she's somewhat of a celebrity. Like, I'm like, this,
Mhm.
they just did it so casually. Because
Who
when
y'all
they,
talking about? I'm sorry, my computer technical issues.
we're talking about the singer, the or whoever she is. I don't know what type of celebrity she is. The most recent video you just showed.
Okay, with Amara Ross. Amara Ross, baby. I didn't know she was a celebrity.
Yeah, she was a finalist on American Idol.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I was saying, like, I think she's only getting this level of coverage is because of who she is, like what she's accomplished. But other than that, I'm like, this has to be going on with so many other women.
Well,
had
you know, I'm
posted-
thinking maybe that's why they pulled out all the big guns in the first place. You know,
I think they.
I really feel in that case, in this particular situation, I felt like that family was targeted.
Oh yeah.
And we
Oh,
have
yeah.
some of our families. Sometimes it's just that you're black, but sometimes it's more than that. You're like, there are families like my family, oftentimes, that are targeted in certain situations. They know who you are, and their goal is to destroy you. You know, destroy your hope for life. Just like if there was, on the plantation, when you have somebody who's standing up against a slave master, they're gonna make an example out of that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's going on here. They decided we're gonna make a example out of this family.
Yep. I'll tell you what I think it is. I think what I think contributed to it. Y'all ready?
Absolutely.
Because if she was a finalist, there are certain concessions that you have to be willing to make to win, or at least to get additional deals, even if you don't get the final spot. And that would involve her lifestyle, the way she looks and presents herself, and the partner that she chooses to be with. And her partner is not the ideal for them.
I'm sure he's a brother. He's a brother. You can tell he's a brother.
Like, and it's not right, because he is a strong black male, strong male, melanated male figure. I'm trying to not use that word black to describe us, because we aren't. And you see him, he's like, and he's intelligent and he's smart.
He's melanin dominant,
and
testosterone and heterosexual. Thank God.
Okay, and letting his hair be what it is.
Absolutely.
And that is not the ideal. And how dare you step away from all that we have to offer you? So now we're going to punish you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think
that's what I think for my 2 cents.
Well.
My 2 cents, and in some communities where, you know, that doesn't even get you penny candy anymore. So,
and in both of these situations, they're still trying to get justice. You know, I'll drop the link.
They have the baby back.
I'll drop the link for the first one.
Yeah, they have the baby back.
Right.
The baby, they have Ast. They don't have Ra. They don't have their son back yet.
Right.
So which like the newest baby they have back, or which one?
They have the newest baby, their infant, their little girl.
Okay.
They have her back, but they don't have their son.
Okay.
And what happened was the son was taken first, and then they followed them a few weeks later. They targeted them a few weeks later and took the newborn daughter. But they've gotten her back since then.
Do you remember why she went to the hospital in the first place with her son?
He was not, I think, eating or drinking, and they were concerned. I think that was it. Was that it, sis Joanna?
Yeah, that's what I read up on. That, you know, he was, I guess, a little sick maybe. And they took him to get checked up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know
but then
breastfeeding related.
Well,
because she said she had stopped, or she had just gotten pregnant, or the baby was just She just had her newest baby,
Yeah, that was a newborn.
and she was still breastfeeding her toddler, but wanted to wean him or something. It was just really odd. I found it really strange that she even went to the hospital for the reason she went to the hospital for her 3 because it didn't seem like a medical.
Well, we no longer have indigenous healing knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what a lot of us are still doing, is that, you know, as soon as the smallest thing is wrong, we panic because we don't know what to do. And we don't know to find somebody who does know what to do. You know, we run to the hospitals because that's what we're programmed. That's where we're programmed to go, to think that this is the place for us to go to get help. And it's not the place for us as a people to get help. You know, they didn't create those hospitals for us. Honestly, they really didn't. And that's what we think. That's what we think to go, you know, if we don't know any better. So that's why we have to re-educate ourselves. You know, we really have to re-educate ourselves so we stop putting our families, our babies, and ourselves as a collective in danger. And I think Dr. Millier had something he wanted to say.
Everything that was said is good, but you know, you see the situation where you have absent male, which says something, says a whole lot. A lady to go in with their child, whether it be of own volition or not, and I say volition because we don't know exactly what was going on, where the little baby is separated from his mother, she goes inside the clinic. Then here's a brother that's there with his woman or his wife, what have you, and he feels powerless. See, this was a time for the brother to die. And at the same time, they should have never took the child to the hospital. These programs for home births, we should have that information on speed dial immediately when we're going through these things. And we're practicing these free births or home deliveries, whatever you want to call it. We should have just like they have a reference guide, we should have a free birth telephone directory or free birth email directory or something where you're talking with individuals that are practitioners in free birth homes or centers, free birth centers. In respect to Sister Joanna X, who is working on that, well, they should have this information ahead of time. But what we go wrong is we got so many out here without the knowledge, trying to practice this as part of their revolutionary ethics, and they don't have training. And this is bad. We have to keep in mind that these institutions started with individuals that had training above education, had the training to set these things in motion. We didn't need doctors or veterinarians doing slavery. We didn't need that. Why? Because 9-year-old girls were trained and equipped to deliver children. This is a fact. You didn't need surgeons in slavery. Why? Because 12-year-old boys were equipped to do everything from light surgery almost to what they call mid-grade surgery. This is a fact. So we didn't trust them before, but once they got us out of slavery, they didn't know what to do with us. We made them so much money in slavery, in physical, let me say that, physical slavery, because we were still in slavery. Until after that, we went inside of industrial slavery. And after we came out of agricultural slavery and went into industrial slavery, then they found a way to create debt to us again, found a way to get work from us again, found a way to make money from us again. So the cash crop is us. Slavery has always been the cash crop. We have always been the cash crop. But in the light that the brother took and allowed his sister to take the baby to the hospital, was already doing. But beyond that, had they come to the house, this is the time for the brother to die. It was out of his mind for not being armed. It was out of his mind for even talking with these devils. It would have been better to be dead. And this is what the black man has to have inside him. It has to know that this is not violent. This is self-defense. And what kind of man are you if you can't defend your woman and your child? It's better off for you to be dead. When he said over his dead body, over my dead body, then that's what I mean. But devil, I'm not going alone. I'm bringing you with me. So when I go to the gate and St. Peter's got to move out the way so we can see Jesus, you're going to be standing right there beside me. If you believe that nonsense, you're going to be standing right there beside me. But this would have been a great day to die. You don't stand there as a man and allow somebody to take your child. You don't do it. So that's the problem. But and I said to say this. And I said, we got what put us in this situation are the religious leaders. I want you to understand what I'm saying. I want you to understand what I'm saying. The religious leaders, when they began to relax on the truth, have put us in the situation from the Nation of Islam on down. And I mean that. I said with conviction. When we start letting these white people in our business, imagine that even when we stop teaching pure knowledge that takes us away from Africa, that takes us away from the enemy, who the enemy really is, which takes us away from the fight that we really have in front of us, then we cause ourselves to be in danger by listening to a watered down message that continues to keep us in trouble. And it has to be in Africa and with African people and with the Pan-African movement. It has always been religion, which has educated us toward what we're going through. And when we fought in Africa, we took our bishops with us into battle. And if we died, we died together. If we survived, we survived together. The last point is simply this. And I want to say this. I can't talk about anyone else's faith or religion except mine. There was a time with what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching was a pure knowledge. Right now, you don't have it. You don't have it. Notice Cyrus Muhammad teaches pure knowledge. He teaches a pure religion. He teaches separation and all of that. But other than Cyrus Muhammad, there's no Muslim. And I say that. And I know exactly what I'm saying. I said, and I'm already in trouble for saying it, because I say it all the time, that the true religion of the Nation of Islam is not being taught. Now, that's just one. This is also true for the Church of Christ. This is also true for the Baptists. This is also true for the whatever you want to call it. Don't do Ali. It's also true for the Hebrew Israelites. I say that. I don't care what religion it is that black people are in. You have leaders that have become relaxed on the truth, and it is having an effect on the people when these are the individuals that we counted on to tell us the truth, that it won't be so hard to do it if you got everybody in the same sheet of music, because you had religious leaders of whatever laity or religion they were in, they would go to each other's conventions, whether it was Baptist, whether it was Methodist, whether it was Church of God in Christ, whether it was African Methodist, Episcopal, whether it was Nation of Islam, whatever you want to call it. We all came together at one time. We came together. But look at us today. Look at us today. So we're divided, and even our truth is divided. So we feel that we're separated. And so unless we're teaching that from the religious institutions on down, because this is where we get our conviction. Every leader, and I'm gonna hush because I could go on and on about this, but every leader, whether they be a doctor, a lawyer, a school teacher, a businessman, all of them get their conscience and moral makeup from the religious institution that they're in. From the religious institution that they're in. At one time, we even said in the Muslim movement that the white man was the devil. The white man is not a devil, but he's the devil. Today, you'll find that there are Muslims that they're saying that the white man are their friends. So when you get into a place where you change who you are, then you'll know that you walk into difficult and dangerous waters, and you have to know that the still waters are deep, and if you step in far enough, then you go all the way under. And I say that with all due respect to the who has taught the truth, and before the truth was corrupted by the devil getting in somewhere.
And I just want to say, because I know people get spooked when you start saying, you should defend yourself, you should defend your family. you know, but this wouldn't be happening in any other country. You know, it wouldn't be happening to any other race of people, and they're not doing, they wouldn't have responded that way. So we have to ask ourselves, why are we being so docile, and why this is continuing to happen to us? Because we're being docile. You know, God didn't give us a spirit of fear. God gave us power, love, and a sound mind. You know, so we have to operate in that. Also operate in wisdom. You know, because this is chess and not checkers. But you know, if they thought that when they stopped a black family unjustly to take their child, you know, they would have a civil war on their hands, they wouldn't do it. You understand? They wouldn't do it. So, you know, what Dr. Milliere is saying is right. We do need more black men to step up and defend us, and defend the black family, you know, and be willing to place their lives on the line. Definitely, you know, I would love to see more of that. And I'm sure many of the women, you know, I've heard brothers, you know, saying, you hear brothers talking about they can't find wives, you know, and, you know, that's what women want. Women want to be protected. You know, we're black women in America. We don't need somebody who's going to cower, you know. We don't need somebody who's afraid. We don't need somebody who's going to stand behind us, you know, or do what happened with what was the sister's name? Corrine Gaines, to do what her brother did. You know, we need somebody who's going to stand in front of us, not even beside us, but stand in front of us and protect us. And that's a part of what the antichrist movement is about. That consciousness is about feminizing our black men, making them so they don't have the mind to protect us, to defend us, to put their lives on the line. You know, why would a man put his life on the line for a woman? He's not even interested in women, you know.
And I will say, I do appreciate that.
And also, we have to inspire that in our men as well. We have to inspire that in them, that righteous indignation, you know. Absolutely. Here we go.
Can you hear me, Joanna?
We must remember the art of war and make power moves to win that game of chess. Absolutely. Absolutely. So God didn't give us the spirit of fear. So we got to stand in power. We really do have to stand in power. And I can feel the fear. You know, I can feel it. I can feel it so strong from us. And we've got to overcome the slave mentality. We've got to overcome it. We've got to overcome it. We need some Nat Turners out there. We need some Shaka Zulus out there. We need some Khalid Muhammad's out there. We need some Malcolm X's out there. That's what we need. That's what we need. You know, you shouldn't be afraid of death, because we as melanin dominant people, we don't die anyway, we return. So, you know.
Can you hear me, Joanna?
All right. Moving right along here. And here's a video right here. Wait till you see this one, Maurice. I think you saw it already.
Ebony was trying to share something.
Ebony was trying to share something. Y'all don't get tired yet. You know, I know some of y'all don't have long attention spans, but we got to work on that, because we have attention for what we want to have attention for.
Joanna.
Let's see, bear with me one moment. Let me get that screen rolling. All right.
Joanna.
And it's muted for whatever reason. I don't know. There it
Of
is.
your newborn ends with 10 to 15, the best day of your life. The birth of your newborn ends with 10 to 15 cops at your door with guns drawn for you. That's exactly what happened to a black couple. LAPD stormed a black couple's home hours after they refused a blood draw for their newborn. Does that not sound a bit heavy-handed. A Black Los Angeles couple says officers stormed their homes alongside a social worker after they declined to let doctors perform a blood draw on their newborn daughter following a home birth. So this was a natural home birth. They did not want needles or blood drawn from their newborn. Here's the couple. Here's a picture of the couple. Kayla Love and Kari Jones, okay? Said circumstances surrounding the birth of their daughter turned hostile after they were rushed to the LA County USC Medical Center after the baby was born in June 27th. What was supposed to be a home birth turned into an emergency home birth, and paramedics were called after Love experienced some complications. The baby was healthy, paramedics said, but the family was rushed to the hospital. According to the couple, after they declined doctors perform a blood draw on Fari, things turned hostile. We said no. We prefer our children to be seen by a private physician. Don't want your services. Reserve the right to deny. Kayla, the mother, said. Doctors asked Love if she had hepatitis, and an officer questioned whether Love cared about her daughter, asking why she didn't want to get the questions over with, and it just became a hot damn mess. There is a California law. According to California law, all babies born in the state must have the newborn screening test completed, which includes a blood draw. Love decided to be discharged early from the hospital and went home with her family. But that night, police and a social worker showed up at her door. Jones said, and I quote, between 10 to 15 officers came up to our home, pointing guns at me while I'm holding the baby over a health and wellness check, what they claim to be. Show this picture. They came with guns drawn. Now, here's what you learn if you're a police. Any cop will tell you, you draw your weapon only when you are ready to use it. You don't draw your weapon to scare anybody. You draw your weapon to kill something. So literally, 10 to 15 cops arrived in order to do this deed. What deed are we talking about? This is a newborn baby with responsible parents. They planned this. They got everything under control. They have a private physician. They knew their rights. They said, we'll take care of this with our private doctor. And God forbid you start looking at some of the insane medical records as it relates to Black folk in emergency care. I get it. I understand it. But they came, guns blazing, guns drawn, for this new baby born, and this insane chaos was simply uncalled for. Kenya, I know you got some thoughts about this as a Black woman, especially.
Oh, just my heart goes out to that couple. I mean, we're seeing how many different avenues.
Now that was horrible. That was just completely horrible. And now we have to ask ourselves, you know, when are we going to realize who our enemies are? When are we going to realize who our enemies are? You have a target on your back. These are not your friends. These are not your friends. Don't give them opportunities. And this is why a little bit of information is so dangerous. This is why a little bit of knowledge is so dangerous, especially when you don't understand that you are at war. This is why. You got enough information just to put yourself in the line of fire. A lot of people have just enough information to put themselves in the line of fire. and don't know how to defend themselves and don't know that they're at war. So it's not enough to say the right thing, because we saw what happened when they said the right thing. They went all the way home. They went all the way home. And they said, nah, we got to get these revolutionary niggas. Now, y'all got to be honest. That's real. That's real. We got to get these revolutionary niggas. You better get in a place where they are terrified to come to your house gun blazed. You better get yourself situated in the right situation if you're going to put yourself out there. Don't use a little bit of knowledge. You can't be warm. You can't be lukewarm. You want to know what the scripture is about. Right now is the time. We're living in the times right now. You either be hot or you be cold. Because you can't be warm. Because if you warm, they're going to take you out and you're going to be a casualty. So you're going to have to choose. You got to choose whether you're going to be hot or cold. You got to be 100% or just go ahead and just be a slave. That's what it comes down to. Be 100% or just go ahead and be a slave.
Can you hear me, Joe?
Yeah, we hear you now, Ebony. You had got booted out. I had to put you back in the stream.
Okay. Yeah, it goes back to those choices again. You know, a lot of people will literally say they didn't have a choice or they don't have a choice. But you do. You really do. You have a choice to be hot, cold, or lukewarm. Which you want to choose? And I just really wanted to reiterate about the husband not stepping up in that other case. That's one of the things that really stuck out to me. But
it did, didn't it?
Is that her? Yeah,
it did.
You know, my husband. Okay, I'm sorry. My toddler came in here. Don't talk, baby. Hold on. That's one of the things that my husband and I talked about. Like, we draw the line at our babies.
Absolutely. We just would have been gone. We just would have been gone.
Are you
know what I'm saying?
Car would have been on and driving. Like,
we
what?
made it worth it.
Serious?
It would have been worth it. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. We draw the line. We're very, like, what was it, sister?
Ain't no way.
She said, we're very good at finding the right words to say, right? We know how to operate in the matrix. We know how to come on. We know what's going on.
Better avoid them situations at all costs.
Avoid them situations at all costs, but there's a line. There's a line in the sand, and it comes at our babies. And
freedom or death. Freedom or death. I'm dying.
Yeah, ain't no you won't see us doing no press conferences about nothing. It's it's a wrap. It's no.
Listen.
Yeah, so
I would have been in that car losing my mind.
We would have been overseas somewhere, or something.
Yeah, but I just really appreciate that perspective being brought out because, we, as women, we want to be protected, and honestly, I would have not felt protected by my husband in that way.
Yeah, that was a situation. That was a situation.
That was.
And the problem is that we think we're free. And so you're making decisions with the mindset that I'm free. But as you can see, you're not free. You have to see that you're not free. We're not free in this country. No matter what the illusion says, And I don't mean as far as you being free, you making the decision that you're free. I'm talking about socially. I'm talking about economically. In this place, we're not free. If you're dealing with them, you're not dealing with them in a place of equal rights, equal liberties, you know, nothing like that. They don't see you as equal, you know, and technically, really, we're not equal because biologically, we're superior. If you're melanin dominant, you are superior. That's a fact. Go ahead. I'm gonna mute my mic. Dr. Melia has something to say.
Okay. Yeah, it was painful. That was painful. I mean, amazing. And the brother, you know, and this is why I stay I'm so tough on religion. See, before you can become spiritual, you got to have a religion that's taught to you. That is a no compromise religion. And there's got to be a no compromise zone in you. And sometimes, you know, you can maybe at some perspective understand what's going on and understand that this is not the time nor place to move. But that's not compromising. They're saying that I want to be sure before I go, because when I go, I'm going all the way. But you can't tiptoe through the tulips. You can't mealy mouth. But you got to be constant and you got to be instant. See, and that's the thing, is that when you're not constant and you're not instant, then that means there's always room for the enemy to come in. And if you got your God, then your God is giving you the right to have a gun. If you have a God that hasn't given you the right to have a gun, then you need to go back and check the God. Go back and check it. Because that should tell you that something's wrong with your God if it don't allow you to defend yourself. You should be able to defend yourself. Even if you don't carry, you should be able to defend yourself to the place where you take the weapons that come up against you from the enemy that has it. But this is another level of manipulation that keeps the enemy in good place. Like in Africa, when the Africans there were being taken over. I want you to see this in history. It's something that I hate to admit. It, but I have to say it, that there were some African chiefs that were willing to go along with these white devils that had come in because they felt that they were getting an economical gain of slavery. And many of them felt that they had black enemies among them that wouldn't sell out with them. You got a lot of blacks that are selling out, that their vision is corrupted. They'll see you as a problem. And they're helping these white devils do the evil that they do. Now, in saying that, I say if you're going to get a man's attention, then you'll give him a no-nonsense religion that teaches him how to be a man, that raises up, teaches him how to love his family, how to protect his family, and no matter where he is, whether it be the so-called Christian church, I say so-called, because there are very few Christians that know what real Christianity really is. Because if they knew that, then they wouldn't be caught in the dangers that they're caught in. But when you get a real religion that teach you how to be a leader to your family, to sacrifice first, and to defend your family with your very life. This is a fact. This is why the white man gave you Christianity in its present form. Notice I said its present form because you already had Christianity in Africa. You already had all of that. You already had it. But he switched it. He tricked it out, and just like the brothers do cars, he put new rims on it, polished it up a little bit, and resold it to you. And the minute he resold it to you, you thought you had the real thing, but you didn't have it. And so it made you weak. This Christianity in America made you weak. When the white man colonialized you in Africa, he gave you a Christian Christianity that made you weak. At first, that Christianity that made you stand up, he gave it to you, you unwrapped it, and it made you sit down. When it had you standing up willing to give your life, that Christianity gave you had you bending on your knees praying for your life. And it changed you. It manipulated your mind. It took you off of what you knew and put you in an area that you knew not. And so there arose a Pharaoh that knew not Joseph. Understand what I'm saying? That we were taken out of our center and put in an area, and mentally the same thing was practiced unto us. So the last thing I want to say is that we've got to teach our men strength and character, and that can only happen in a black religion. It won't happen in a white one. Because you got any black leader that's teaching about a white Jesus, or right around here talking about the white man as his friend, then he's teaching white nationalism. And white nationalism won't have a black slave.
All right, so all of us by now, you know, if you've been watching this, you should have a good idea of what the Antichrist is, who the enemies are to Black birth, right, and Black life. So, you know, we have some other enemies too that look like us, right? We were talking about that as well. So we have to be careful. You have a lot of people. You know, we're gonna talk about the birth community because that's what we're talking about right now. This is all surrounding birth, and we have to be careful when all of this stuff is going on and we're in a war zone. We have to be careful because there's people out there that perpetrate like they know and they don't know, and they'll end up having you get your children taken. Okay, so we have to know what to look for. Okay, now. We have to know what to look for. For example, there was a video shared in my birth group. There's a video shared, a Lotus birth video. Here, I'm gonna show this video right quick. Let me go ahead and show this video. I'll share this. That way everybody knows what I'm talking about. I'll do it really quick because I know it's getting late. Thank you everybody for hanging in there. I want to make sure we get through everything. Give people something to chew on. Can you see my screen? Okay, it says it's sharing my screen. So hopefully everybody can see my screen well. Okay, I want everybody to take a look at this. Really quickly. And I'm trying to put it on big screen. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Let me go back to share my screen. Share screen. All right. Want this on the big. What happened to it? There it goes. Okay, it's still not showing on the big enough, but we can watch it like this. Okay. Everybody see all this salt being put on this placenta? Placenta's been taken right out of the bowl, poured salt on it, way too much salt. It's not sea salt, that's iodine. And just smothered in herbs. Now, if your common sense don't tell you that something's wrong with this, you know, then I'm telling you that something is wrong with this. Okay? Now, Lotus birth is a ritual. This is supposed to be an indigenous ritual that is done that actually facilitates bonding between the mother and the baby. It has a tremendous effect on your children's attachment to you. Tremendous effect. And then on top of that, you at least need to wait till the placenta stops pulsating to make sure the baby gets all the blood and the nutrients that it needs. But Lotus birth is actually spiritual. This is something spiritual and psychological and emotional. You cannot treat it. You can't treat it like this. This is, you've now commercialized Lotus birth, okay? You made it look real cute, and now it's commercialized so that you can advertise and make a profit. Okay, did you all see that video? You can hear me talking, Christina?
I saw it.
Okay, wonderful. So, you know, this is a big issue because this is prevalent in the birth community where people jump on the bandwagon of something and say, oh, this is popular, this is making a lot of money, and this is creating an issue. And you have people who aren't really trained, aren't gifted, aren't skilled, but they know how to advertise, they know how to make a profit, they have some things behind their name, they have some certifications, you know, and here I am, I'm the expert. Now you have to watch out for that, because that type of situation, that right there, that could get somebody's baby taken. That right there could get somebody's baby taken. Okay? That right there could have CPS called. That right there could create a situation. Not only that, hopefully, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt that it was not pulsating and it was starting to get hard, which I doubt because it looked like that baby just came out. Hopefully, the baby wasn't giving high blood pressure, because that's blood the baby is sucking up, and now it's iodine that the baby's soaking up. You know, and complete no understanding whatsoever of Lotus Birth, the purpose of the herbs. The purpose of the salt is to create a saline solution. If you're going to use salt, which you don't have to, if you're going to use salt, you mix it, you wash it first so that the placenta has some water on there, and you put it in a container where it can air out, a strainer, and you put it in the bowl. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there so y'all can know what to do so you don't do this crazy stuff. You put it in the bowl so it can air out, okay? And you put a little bit of salt on there because now it creates a saline solution, okay? You don't pour salt on it. And you don't have to use salt if you don't want to. If you don't want to use salt, that's fine. Put some herbs on there. The purpose of the herbs, you put sage. Put sage on there. If you don't know what sage is used for, why are you even doing a Lotus Birth? If you don't know the purpose of sage, why are you doing a Lotus Birth? If you don't know the purpose of the herbs, we're not seasoning. This is not meat that we're seasoning. We're not trying to salt some meat here. You know what I'm saying? This is not what's going on. This is white mentality, European mentality, westernized mentality of capitalizing on something that we think is now become popular. Same thing with free birth. You got people out here never had a free birth, don't know nothing about free birth, you know, haven't even had a natural birth, maybe not even had a baby, but they're going to be there. They're going to stand with you while you give birth to yours. This is crazy. It's a crazy time we living in. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with Crystal Alkaline Doula, you know, but there was a video out of her doing a free birth. And I'm not sure if she has a real following or not, because, you know, you can have a fake following. You know, you can pay for likes and, you know, all kind of stuff that people do. So, you know, I don't know whether her following is real or not, but some crazy stuff going on out here. You know, a baby came out purple and limp, and she had no idea what to do to bring that baby back. None whatsoever.
Wait, what?
Yes, you don't know what I'm talking about, Christina?
No.
Oh my goodness. She took the video down now. It was a big thing. Matter of fact, I made a YouTube about it. Already. It was a big thing. Her name is Crystal. What's her name? Crystal Alkaline Doula. I gotta go look. It was a big thing. It was out there in the birth community. I saw people putting it on their pages. You know, everybody was talking about it.
Oh,
yes.
I've heard of her.
Yes. She did a free birth for her sister. She was there for her sister. She caught the baby, honey. She caught the baby. The baby was purple, limp, not breathing, not making a noise, nothing. And she didn't know what to do. She's sitting there holding the baby, looking at the baby. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know to rub the baby in the right place. Nothing. She didn't know to check the baby's mouth to see if anything's in there. Nothing, honey.
Is she in?
What happened to the baby?
Thank God, a miracle happened. A miracle happened, and the baby started crying. But you talking about seconds? I mean, I'm at least how long was it, Maurice, before that baby miracle happened? That baby was resuscitated, because she didn't resuscitate the baby. She didn't do anything. How long did it take? Do you remember? It was about 15 seconds. I thought it was more than that. It seemed like more than that to me, because I was like, you know, like, do this, do that. Like, what are you doing? Like, I've been at a birth. What are you doing?
I've been at a birth where we had to resuscitate the baby. And let me tell you, it is the most. You have to, if you're going to do a free birth, at least, and I'm a CPR instructor. I've been a CPR instructor for 10 years. At the very least, find out, learn, take a class on how to do resuscitation. At the very least, minimally. Minimally. If you don't learn nothing else, learn about the difference between neonatal resuscitation and regular resuscitation. At the very least,
right?
Learn what you need to do, like dry the baby off, stimulate the baby. You like
research it. At the very least,
you don't even have to take a neonatal class.
About
there's a reason why you see people rubbing the baby vigorously. There's a reason why they're trying to get the baby to cry, to inflate the lungs and to, you know, have the air transference. The air coming in forces out the rest of the amniotic fluid. There's a reason for it. Find out.
Like the baby was okay. Did you hear me, Christina? Like, well, she wanted to show what a baby should look like when it come out. I'm like, what the heck? Are you kidding me right now?
I'm a reserve.
I could have strangled this woman. Do you hear me?
I'm a reserve comment.
And then deserve to be egotistical about it. You have no idea, Christina.
No, it's a good thing I don't.
Oh my goodness. And I'm a free birth advocate. Do you know how angry I was?
Yeah.
I'm a free birth advocate. I was angry. Okay.
Were you? Were you really? I don't know. I'm not really getting a sense of strong feelings about this from you. I'm concerned.
Honey, it was crazy. I'm like, you are gonna, like, you putting all of us in jeopardy. Like, why would you do that? Because when you go out there uneducated, untrained, you know, just out there doing stuff, you know, with a little bit of information, you know, a little bit of information, a little bit of knowledge, you know, and you out there just doing stuff because you're egotistical, don't want to submit to anybody, don't want to learn anything, want to feel like you a big person, and you got all these ignorant people that know less than you willing to listen to you because you make it sound good and you willing to do all the stuff to make it glamorous, you know, or whatever, or you sitting there with your body out, so they at least gonna come look at that. I mean, you got to we got to really check ourselves and get it together around here. Y'all got to watch out for these people. Watch out for these people. And you have
the thing that's
group. You know, you don't need to know anything. You know, just do it.
The thing that's tough is that you only know what you know until you find out that you don't know.
Lord.
That's what's tough. That's what's tough. You only know what you know until you find out that you don't know.
And I get it. It was safer than going to the hospital. I get it. It was safer than going to the hospital. But take it a step forward and actually get the information, learn the information, what you need, you know, so that you can be equipped, you know, and ready, you know, because if you're not equipped and ready, your enemy going to be at your door in a minute.
Because they are equipped and ready.
Exactly. They're going to be at your door in a minute. And as you can see, they are not going to be hesitating about taking your children away.
Wow.
So we got to be on our P's and Q's. We really got to be on our P's and Q's. And you know, you got to choose. You got to choose life. You know, I do teach a free birth class. You know,
Yes, it's excellent.
Thank you, Christina. What do you think about the free birth class? We still got one more class to get done.
It's excellent. I've learned, like, look, I tell you what, it has made me respect it. Truly, it wasn't that I didn't respect free birth, but in seeing so many people put things out about it, it gives you the impression, like many things, that, oh yeah, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And in not having complete information and moving forward to do something,
it's foolish.
You aren't respecting it. It's like someone looking at someone else driving a car and saying, oh, I can do that. And then they get behind the car. They get behind the wheel of the car. If you think you can just jump in and just do it, then you're being reckless and irresponsible with your own life and with others' lives around you.
Absolutely.
So you need to have a healthy respect for life, for birth, for
it's sacred.
It is, and even on the other end, for the dying and death process as well.
Absolutely.
And so you end up, listen, so I think it's fantastic. I'm like, I'm not doing free birth. Well, I'm not doing kids anymore at all. Our shop is closed. So. You all go out there and explore and enjoy. In the meantime, I'll catch your baby for you. All right.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So also we have our homeschool co-op, right, Ebony? Interdependent Black families. We have our homeschool co-op. You do not have to send your children to the slave factory. Homeschool your children, and you can find support. It's free. Join the co-op. It is free. All you have to do is make sure you're teaching a class and being a contributor.
What's the website? Or the information?
Thebirthguru.org.
Oh, okay. It's on that. Okay.
.org.
Listen, everyone, it has been an honor sitting with you all. I really do need to go.
Have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. And Ebony, do you want to say anything about the co-op really quick? The homeschool co-op? You still with us, Ebony? Okay, she might be.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, the co-op is amazing. Sorry, my little one is still here. It is a great space for your children to learn, right, Ezra? No? Okay. Hold on, let me nurse him for a second.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Ebony. Yeah. Go ahead, do your thing. We're about to get off in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. They can go to the website, check it out, see what classes we have, and all that good stuff. Find out how to enroll if you need that. Also, no excuses about work. If work is keeping you from being your best self, you can work from home. Contact us about work from home opportunities. If you need spiritual counseling, we're available. If you need psychological counseling, Dr. Marcella Milliere is a clinical psychotherapist. Reach out. There are no excuses for anyone to remain ignorant, to remain vulnerable, and to choose mental, emotional, spiritual, economic, social slavery for any reason whatsoever. Also, we have the Baby Mama Thrift Shop. If you need food, clothes, and shelter, On that website, there's also a place for you to request support. All right. This is not a competition. If you are providing some of these things, let's link up. Let's link up and be the best we can be together, interdependently. There's no need for us to compete. No need for you to be jealous of me, or feel like, I'm taking your shine. We ain't got time for that. Let's link up and see how we can be better together. This is a movement, the Christ movement, the Black Life movement. I want to wish everybody a great night. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, peace, love, and light, enlightenment. Share the video so that we all can be better together. Any final words? Minister Marcella Mix?
All right, shalom.
I appreciate being on the show. Appreciate the work that you and Sister Ebony have put into the show. Appreciate the homeschool education. I appreciate being able to come on and talk to brothers and sisters about where we need to be and what kind of mindset we need to have. And my desire, my prayer is that I didn't offend anyone, but educate them so that they'll be able to have the right mind in this decade that we're in.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, brother. Ebony has gone. I know we all, they got their babies. Mine's are asleep, thank God. I'll get a little break. All right. Peace, love, and enlightenment. Get with the Black movement. Black Life movement. Christ movement. Inshallah. And Ebony said her phone is acting up. Thank you for having me. Shalom, peace. Peace, Ebony. All right, have a great night.